send you a link to get you started. All you got to do is answer a few questions on their website. One of their doctors will review your answers and prescribe you
now and live in your home for as long as you want. And TrueHold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since TrueHold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit TrueHold.com and discover how much TrueHold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's TrueHold.com.
Hi, this is Ken Newbold for Newbold Toyota and Newbold BMW, a family-owned dealership group that has been around for 50 years as a Toyota dealer and 25 years in O'Fallon, Illinois. So come see us. That's Newbold Toyota in O'Fallon or newboldtoyota.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
On Saturday, July 15th, the Cardinals take on the Washington Nationals, and you will not want to miss it. That day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will add an Albert Pujols bobblehead to their collection. This exclusive bauble, presented by Coca-Cola and Schnucks, honors and celebrates Pujols' career, highlighted by 703 home runs. Don't miss out. That's Saturday, July 15th. For tickets, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
Backing up is Nootbaar. He's at the track. He jumps, and he caught it!
On Sunday, July 16th, the Cardinals host the Nationals, and there is a giveaway for everyone. That day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will take home a mystery Cardinals Henley, thanks to Bayer. And the younger fans like me will get in on the fun too, when 10,000 kids ages 15 and under receive a Cardinals all-over print hat. For tickets, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Lars Nootbaar. Make your family memories at the ballpark.
If you're thinking about selling your St. Louis area home, you might be a bit overwhelmed by the process, especially in this market. Take it from me, Debbie Monterey. I strongly recommend that you call and spend 5 minutes getting to know Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria understands that you have questions and that selling your home can be stressful. Gloria has mastered the home selling process with her Guaranteed Sold program. It simply states Gloria will sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or Gloria will buy it. So what's Gloria's secret? Gloria already has the buyers. Fact is, your home may already be sold. Let Gloria show you how she nets her sellers more money and how she sells faster on average. Need more proof? Check out Gloria's 5-star reviews and get moving. Call Gloria Liu today at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
KMOX is the regional Edward R. Murrow Award winner for excellence in sound.
Amy Bart Scores and Chris Ranji on KMOX. It's a happy Wednesday. Guess what, Amy? I spent all day yesterday thinking yesterday was Wednesday. And I thought today was supposed to be Thursday.
Oh.
That's a real kick in the you-know-where. When you think that you're coming in. And I love being at work. Don't get me wrong. I also love off days. Those are so much fun. And I was thinking I'm coming into work on Thursday and great. And then I realized, oh, no, it's only Wednesday.
And Andrew Stoles of the DGS, because he, like you, worked Monday, he said yesterday felt like Saturday to him.
Yeah, because it was your first off day.
Because it was like your first off day, so it felt like Saturday. And I will say, I was looking forward to today in the sense that it's a short week. You get to have fun. Like you said, we have fun coming into work. We like, it beats working for a living, right? Like we get to chat and all this. And I thought I would have this real optimism because it's a short week. Not gonna lie, the next 3 days feel insurmountable.
It does feel like a lot.
I don't know why it feels like it's
this
only
3-day
Wednesday.
work week is so long.
I mean, I feel like it's only Wednesday. Like I have to do today, tomorrow, and Friday. Like, oh my gosh.
I know, man.
Why?
I don't know.
It feels literally.
This is like not the hardest job in the world. And we're just like, oh man, we have to work for 3 days. It's so embarrassing.
It is. But I mean, I'm looking at this like if you were, like I don't know, like a nurse who a lot of times, you work these really long shifts, maybe like 8 days in a row. And you're like, I got 8 days of 12-hour shifts. That's how it feels right now.
Well, listen, here's what I know about the two of us.
Yeah.
We will go to the mat for you. We're going to go to work, baby.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to be here today and tomorrow and Friday.
Oh, actually, but here, but not here in Studio B, because Friday, baby.
That's right.
We're pre-gaming for the Morgan Wallen concert, and we will be at Sports and Social.
At Ballpark Village.
At Ballpark Village. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that'll be a great time.
I wonder if anyone's going to the Morgan Wallen concert. You get down there super early, hang out with us.
I think he sells out a lot.
I think he sold
I don't
everything.
understand the whole Morgan Wallen thing, but he's popular. So we're going to be there pre-gaming. We're going to be having a nice time from 10 until 1, broadcasting live from Sports and Social on Friday, which leads me to believe that people are going to be absolutely lit by the time the show starts.
Oh,
because the show's at like, what, 7 or 8?
and I thought, why did I hear that Busch Stadium is opening at noon? I think this is fake news.
It's probably not the stadium, Amy. I'm guessing it's just Ballpark Village festivities.
Yeah.
Started at noon.
I mean, if you have your first Bud Light at noon, it's going to be rough at 7, even if it's Bud Light.
Yeah. Whatever it is.
I mean, I'm just saying because it's light. It's not like you're drinking a 7%.
Let me tell you something about light beer. I've always thought it was the weirdest thing when people judge you for drinking light beer. Not you, but usually it's like, oh, why don't you have beer with some taste in it? Why don't you leave me alone?
I like a light beer because
the beer is a vehicle.
You know what I don't do is I don't walk out on a day like this when it's 95 degrees and go, you know what, I'd like a good stout.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a real heavy IPA.
Yeah.
You know what I want? I want a light beer or a Radler, which is even worse, technically speaking. It's like a soda almost. But I love Radler.
I don't know what that is.
There's
Is that the sour?
No. Oh, ugh. No, I can't do sours. But like the grapefruit Radler from Urban Chestnut is so good.
Okay.
It's like a very, very light beer. I want to say it's like 4%, maybe 3%.
There was, I swear to you, I need to look this up. But I'm almost positive somewhat recently there was a study done that people who like really bitter beers, like IPAs, they are more prone to have some kind of psychological problems.
Ooh. Well, because
I need to look that up.
But see, I like strong flavors. That's why I like bourbon. Because like bourbon, olives, IPAs, strong flavors. Espresso.
Yeah, it's a good thing you say that because we're going to talk to Mark Rucker, who is the CEO and creative director of the bourbonlife.net later in the show in the 12 o'clock hour. The reason we're talking to him is there was a piece recently written about how Kentucky bourbon back in the 60s was very close to not being a thing anymore.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine no Kentucky bourbon?
I can't. Well,
we will talk to him about the history of bourbon and what happened there and how we overcame it as a country. We overcame the potential death of bourbon.
Good for us.
Yeah.
I know we mentioned this. We'll talk more about it at noon. But a federal judge did issue a preliminary injunction yesterday that limits the federal government from communicating with social media companies about online content. And this is a big deal. This is referring to the White House and the Biden administration and whether or not the White House pressured social media platforms to scrub disfavored views from their platforms like Twitter, whether it's about COVID-19 health policies, the origin of COVID-19, the infamous Hunter Biden laptop story, election security, all of these very divisive topics. And there was no doubt that there was political pressure to pull some of that. I think this is the right decision because it is very dangerous when you have the federal government deciding what is misinformation, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. The First Amendment protects offensive speech and it protects stupidity. That's why we have it. If we only allowed speech that we agreed with, well, you wouldn't have the First Amendment in the first place. And I'm sorry, I know misinformation is a big deal. I know it's a big deal in a pandemic, but you cannot legislate enough to prevent stupidity. In a free country, you have the right to make good decisions and you have the right to be an idiot.
But we do limit some speeches, right? Because you're not allowed to incite panic.
Or
You're not allowed to do stuff like that. And nobody who disseminated misinformation during the time period we're talking about was punished for it. So it's not like people were jailed for saying that this is all a conspiracy and COVID was given to us intentionally and to try to quash the population or whatever. That wasn't really done. It was just a matter of, hey, we're trying to save some lives here, so let's not let these crazy people put out these absolutely bananas ideas and let them catch traction, because it does lead to the loss of life. I think it's a different thing here. And by the way, this is I don't know if you mentioned this or not. This was a case brought by Missouri and Louisiana, a joint case here.
And and this is, we could talk about it more at 12 for sure, because you have to let crazy people say their crazy conspiracies, because sometimes, like the origin of COVID-19 or the Hunter Biden laptop story, they prove to be true or have some validity.
That's Amy Marks-Kors. I'm Chris Ranji. 911 is an issue in the city of St. Louis, and it's a bad one. We're going to talk to Kevin Killeen, a reporter here at KMOX, who's covering a press conference today on that issue. He joins us next here on KMOX.
Hey, it's Dave from the DGS, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on KMOX. So let me talk about my cast. Rachel Zimmerman, super smart young millennial. Kevin Wheeler, loudest, most confident, opinionated man you're ever going to meet. He looks like a grade school bully with the red hair, burr haircut. Then we have Andrew. It's been 12 years with Andrew. I'm still not sure what he is. That's 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. every day on the DGS and KMOX.
It is 10:28. The time check brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Summer is here. Time to enjoy baseball, barbecues, and the shade of your trees. When it comes to tree care, call the certified arborist at Gamma Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma. Protect your valuable trees from storm damage or devastating insects such as the emerald ash borer. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. For pruning, spraying, fertilization, or removals, call Gamma Tree Experts today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
Can you imagine being a superhero?
With a sidekick?
Can you imagine you can fly?
Your sidekick shows up wherever you are.
In a fancy blue truck.
And whatever you point at disappears.
1-800-GOT-JUNK is your sidekick.
We're twitching in anticipation.
Vibrating with energy.
We haul away whatever you point at.
Any home or apartment.
Workplace or job site.
We're industrial strength sidekicks.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
At 10:29 right now, we've got some clouds and 87 degrees downtown at the Arch. Americans across the country are trying to get home after the holiday despite some nasty weather. CBS News correspondent Chris Van Cleve is in Phoenix with more on the passenger frustration.
It is starting to feel like the heat and these storms are playing favorites, hitting the same cities day in and day out. And just now, as the trip home for so many people is beginning, weather remains a big question mark.
9 people outside enjoying the Independence Day festivities in the nation's capital were shot and wounded in a spate of violence marring the holiday. 30 people were shot, 2 fatally, at a Baltimore block party Sunday. A shooter in a bulletproof vest killed 5 people in Philadelphia on Monday. 3 people were killed in Texas when several men fired into a crowd gathered Monday after a festival, and a 7-year-old was fatally shot in Florida. Police in Shreveport, Louisiana are investigating a shooting that left 3 people dead and at least 6 others injured. Police on the scene say it was difficult for them to get to the victims because of cars parked in the area. Lieutenant Van Ray.
We're trying to process the scene, recover evidence, mark evidence, do everything we can, but that's part of our job, and then making sure that the people weren't being shot at again or anything like that, to make the scene safe.
Weather sponsored by workatmetrostl.com. This afternoon, hot with intervals of clouds and sunshine. A heavy thunderstorm through early evening could bring flooding downpours, hail, damaging wind gusts. High 94. For tonight, the low 72. For tomorrow, shower thunderstorm with a high 85. At workatmetrostl.com, see how you can make a living and a difference in your community. Plus, learn about Metro Transit's $5,000 signing bonus, competitive pay and benefits. Workatmetrostl.com. 87 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
This report is brought to you by Metro Transit.
Cardinals baseball is in full swing.
Right center field, a grand slam for Nolan Gorman.
With the free Odyssey app, local fans can listen live all summer long, whether you're at the grill or at the pool.
And it's a gunner! An opposite field home run for Wilson Contreras.
Cardinals baseball. Cardinals announcers. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app. AUDACY. Get in the game and download it today.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. Not all law firms are created equal. Don't risk your future with just any firm. See how Onder Law is different.
Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Broadcasting from the Onder Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX. Hi, Carol Daniel here for PNC C-Speak, the language of executives. Minjung Kim, Barbara B. Taylor, director of the St. Louis Art Museum, joined me and Michael Scully, regional president of PNC, to talk about diversity, inclusion, and what it takes to operate a world-class free cultural institution. C-Speak shares the stories and pioneering approaches of successful business leaders so you hear ideas that spark growth in your business. Listen today at KMOX.com/PNC C-Speak. PNC C-Speak, the language of executives.
Find out what's happening with your Redbirds from the manager himself, Oliver Marmol. Sunday mornings at 10:15 on Sports on a Sunday morning, and Wednesday mornings at 9:50. The Ollie Marmol Show on Cardinals Radio, KMOX.
It's Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji on KMOX. During the storms on Saturday, there was a tragic incident that happened, and you have to imagine it's not the only time something like that has happened in St. Louis, where a person is in distress and is trying to reach 911. A woman had a tree fall on the car she was in, clearly in bad shape. Bystanders came by to her assistance, but they were trying for about a half hour to just get through to 911. She had a pulse. She was alert at the time. The bystanders tried to contact emergency services, and they took forever. And basically, she may have died as a result of this. She could have had a chance to survive had that not happened. So there's been a lot of attention on the 911 system here in St. Louis. And joining us now is Kevin Killeen here from the KMOX newsroom, who attended a press conference today. And Kevin is with us on KMOX. What's going on, Kevin?
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Amy. The press conference here at St. Louis Fire Department headquarters is still going on. It's a very grave, somber tone with the police chief, the fire chief, and the director of public safety trying to tell reporters what they know at this point about the Saturday tragedy that took the life of 33-year-old Catherine Cohen. The director of public safety, the interim director, Charles Coyle, says at this time, they are trying to determine what was the lag time between when people at the scene of this tree falling on the car first started to try to call 911 and when 911 finally got the call. There are social media posts that suggest somebody at the scene was saying at 3:54, here's what we got, a tree down in this car and we can't get through. And at the news conference today, they're saying that it wasn't until 4:16 when the first 911 call came in. I mean, that's like 20 minutes later after somebody was posting on it about social media. And then at 4:18, somebody was dispatched and they first arrived on the scene shortly thereafter after the rescue squad arrived at about 4:26. So as you said, did this woman lose the one lottery ticket at life she had, that one chance that maybe they could revive her with some extraordinary measures because we didn't have our act together on the 911 system? And they're looking for people who were at the scene and who called in to come forward for the investigation. They want to know the phone numbers of those people so they can go through the phone records and see what time did those particular phones try to call in and analyze what went wrong.
So right now, then, you have the public safety director / department saying, no, there were no calls coming to 911 until 4:18 later after 4, whereas the witnesses are saying that they called it at least 20 minutes earlier.
Yeah, and when you say calls coming in, what they're saying is, sure, the calls were out there. They were getting 9 calls a minute, more than 1,000 calls in a 2-hour span during that Saturday thunderstorm. But the calls that we're getting through where somebody would pick up and say, 911, may I help you? That wasn't one of this call from this car tragedy was not one of them until 4:16. And again, social media said at 3:54, people were posting pictures of this crisis where the woman was trapped.
There was one report that somebody who was there on the scene got through to a friend of theirs who was in some sort of emergency service. I don't remember if it was police or fire, and that person may have eventually gotten them to talk to an actual human. Do we know if that's the case, if that's what actually happened, that the only reason they even got through to anybody in the first place was because somebody knew somebody?
That was not brought up. That is an excellent question. And I did have to duck out. Maybe they brought that up. But, I mean, that would be very indicting if the only way that they did get there in a reasonable time was by somebody who knew somebody kind of circumventing the traffic jam. One of the questions they're looking at is, when you make a call to 911, where are the likely spots for a traffic jam? First, it goes to the police department, and then they have to send it either to the fire or the EMS, depending on what kind of call it is. There's a system in place where you're supposed to be able to press 1 for a ambulance, and let's see, 1 for an ambulance and 2 for the fire department. But it's not clear that people are really on board with that. And people are getting frustrated when they get the recording, can you wait? And so they hang up and try to call back, but that just puts them farther back in line. It's like at Schnucks, when you forget an item and you go to get it, you don't get back to where you were in the checkout line. You're at the back of the line again.
Yeah, Kevin, and it's this issue with 911 and calls not being answered. This has been going on for at least a year or two, if not longer. And ultimately, it's completely unacceptable to have people waiting 10, 20, 30 minutes or longer on 911. This time, it cost this woman her life. And I see a lot of finger pointing. I know already that the city of St. Louis and the mayor were pointing their finger at Jefferson City and budget cuts by Governor Parson. But ultimately, you have the mayor, you have the city leadership should say, I don't care whose job this is, we're going to fix it. And no one is stepping up.
Yeah, there's no Admiral Nimitz here. I mean, it's even the meeting itself on how they're going to fix delays in the 911 system started more than 10 minutes late. So there's kind of a culture problem, it looks like. I mean, and all these fine-looking leaders of public safety are up on the stage, and you have to wonder, why didn't they drop their barbecue or whatever they're doing and run down to the 911 center to pitch in when this was going on? So there's just a lot of questions about, there's not a military dash about it. Like, we're going to figure out any way to make it work and make it work. There seems to be delays caused by not enough money for staffing. Morale is low. But the reality was they had like 5 911 dispatchers working the phones when this happened. And there should have been, according to the public safety director, there should have been 10.
So is the city admitting here that it's about staffing, that's the issue, or is it more about the system itself isn't the way it should be?
Well, Chris, that's a good point. I mean, it's staffing, but it's also a technology issue. Just as I was ducking out in the hallway, they were talking about how there are 21 phone lines that come into the city's 911 center. And if there's more than 21 people at a time calling, the calls start to back up and roll over. And St. Louis County, by contrast, has 34 phone lines to its 911 system. And even it was backed up during the storm. And some of the calls from the county were being rolled over into the city. So it just seems like there's a regional problem that they're ready for a slow Mayberry kind of a 911 day, but with something really big happens and hits the fan, they need a way to gear up in real time.
Yeah, this is something that I think when we talk about issues with the city, I don't know how this is the priority and people stop working on other things until they get the 911 dispatcher situation figured out. It's unacceptable to me. And again, we can't keep finger pointing. And all the money that came in, is the mayor or leadership addressing what they're doing with the $500 million that they got in ARPA funds or money from the NFL settlement? How is none of that being used to fix the situation?
Yeah, that's a good point. I wish the mayor were here. Her spokesman was here, kind of choreographing the news conference, telling people where to stand. But and you wonder, to what extent is the mayor to blame? What could she have done? It was like 2 years ago when she identified this as a problem. She had a big news conference with the fire chief at the 911 dispatch center and said, we're going to work on this. This is unacceptable. And she sat in there for pictures. But it was my opinion that it kind of fell apart because of politics. There were disagreements over the different union pay rates of the different types of dispatchers, and it was hard to just merge them all into one efficient unit as the mayor wanted. So it was kind of a mixture of politics and just inertia. I don't know how it fell apart.
That's incredible to me. And also, when we're looking at this issue, you've been doing this reporting on the city for years and years now. Is it unusual that after an incident like this, where you have a St. Louisan die because 911's not being answered, that the mayor isn't there? Wouldn't this be an issue that in the past, whoever the mayor is, would have been there to talk to her constituents and say, listen, we're going to fix this. This is a priority for me.
Well, that's a fair question. I don't know what else she's working on, or you might say, what could she have lent to the discussion today, except, her, thoughts and prayers or some sort of vow to do something more. It would have been nice to have her say something, but she was not here today. The people who really control the levers of 911 were here today to try to, this was sort of a technical news conference to explain how it works when you make a call, where it goes, that sort of thing. So maybe the mayor thought it was good to just let the people that handle it that way take this case today.
Kevin Killeen, appreciate your reporting. Thank you for giving us the time today.
You're welcome. I hope they can fix it. It's a great city. We just need to have 911 working, among other things.
That is Kevin Killeen, KMOX news reporter here on KMOX.
This story is so tragic. It's so frustrating. I said this a while ago, let's say crime wasn't an issue really in St. Louis any more than it is anywhere else in the county. If the only difference separating Chesterfield and downtown St. Louis was that in downtown St. Louis, 911 doesn't get answered, maybe 50% of the time you're going to be on hold for a very long time, I'm not moving my family to the city. Literally, I'm going to Chesterfield based on 911 alone, because that is a big deal. When you call 911, it's not on a whim. It's not for giggles. It's because you're in a dire situation.
Well, some people do.
Well,
which is which is a little bit of the problem. There are calls coming into 911 that don't belong there.
That's true, but that's happening everywhere, even in the county, because I talked to a 911 dispatcher in the county because my cell phone, if you hit a button 3 times in a row, it calls emergency, and I was running. And the way it bounced in my pocket, it called the emergency. She said, yep, there's been a lot of this, and we hung up. So that's happening everywhere. But again, this is such an important issue. I'm not necessarily saying it's just the mayor's fault, but if you are the mayor, show up and say, see, this is a priority. I'm going to step in and at least show my face to show that I care about this hugely important issue. Because again, if it's the only thing that separates Chesterfield from the city is how quickly 911 gets answered, I'm moving to the place with the quicker 911 response.
And by the way, this is not a St. Louis exclusive problem. We are seeing 911 staffing shortages around the country. The reasons for that, there have to be a number of them. It is a very stressful job, but it has to be even worse if you're one of the only couple of people doing it on a given day. I would imagine the stress level of something like that is through the roof. I also wonder, Amy, as we go to break here, are we at another inflection point in the city? Because we just 5 months ago had the inflection point of the Janae Edmondson tragedy of the girl who lost her legs because of the kid that was out on bond, or not on bond. He just was out, and he should have been in jail for a number of violations. That was an inflection point that led to the eventual resignation of Kim Gardner, the circuit attorney. Is this another one? I wonder if it is. Again, this is not an St. Louis exclusive problem, but I wonder if maybe the ball will start to get rolling here on this. That's Amy Marks Kors. I'm Chris Ranji. If you want to visit with us, you can. 314-436-7900. Did you see this? Coming up on KMOX.
The MSD Rate Commission represents the voice of the people in MSD's rate-setting process. The commission is hosting multiple public meetings this summer to gather your input on proposed rate increases for wastewater and stormwater services. To find the meeting closest to you, please visit msdprojectclear.org/rate commission or leave a message at 314-335-2028. Check the website regularly as meetings will be added throughout the summer. msdprojectclear.org/rate commission.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
If your home or business just isn't giving you the joy it once did, it's time for a refresh. Contact your local CertaPro painters and put the power of pro to work for you. That's CertaPro's power of doing the job right, on time and on budget. The power of proven experts with the skills to refresh, rejuvenate, and reinvigorate your home or business. Get your project started today at CertaPro.com. The power of pro.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
Hey, KMOX listeners, Roger Wigginton here, Don Rogers Limited, 6727 West Main in Belleville. We're past 4th of July, and we are heading into the heat of this summer. And if you don't have your cool, comfortable men's and women's summer apparel by now, then you need to get out and come by Don Rogers Limited, because we have the best selection in the St. Louis market. All those cooling effect fabrics, lightweight wash and wear, easy care, everything you need for staycations or vacations or outdoor events. If we don't have it, nobody else is going to be. So we invite you to stop by, look at our men's shop, all the great selection of wonderful casual shirts, shorts, jeans, casual pants. In our ladies department, we're loaded with tops and dresses and shorts and capris. But we've got the right look at the right price. Now, don't forget, we're open Tuesday through Saturday, 9:30 to 4. Park at the door, walk in, and get waited on. We'd love to see you. As always, thank you so very much for listening to our commercial.
Delivery's at the door. Can someone please unlock?
It's been an eventful afternoon with a spike in bookings at Claudia's event space.
We'd love to host Mermaid Fest.
She was already planning on having more event planners on hand.
500? That's a lot of tails.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do.
Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
But do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Hey guys, Glover here, and I see clearly thanks to Doctors Bertie and Malhotra, and you can too. Go to youridoc.com today or call 314-966-5000.
It's wonderful.
It's incredible.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
Did you see that thing? I can't believe it.
Something is obviously wrong.
This is a joke, right?
Oh my God. Are you freaking kidding me? No way.
You gotta be kidding me.
Don't feel bad. There's no way you could have known that.
Now, did you see this with Chris and Amy on the show?
Ranj, I don't know if you saw this, and I've got a couple of them, and they both have to do with roller coasters.
Oh.
So an amusement park in North Carolina closed last week after they found a giant crack in a support pillar. And when I mean a giant crack, think of one of those corkscrew turns and then one of those giant pillars that holds the corkscrew turn up. The crack looks to be several inches wide, and when the roller coaster swoops around the corner, the entire pillar, the top of the pillar, dislodges from the crack as if it's the track itself holding up the rest of the coaster. It's terrifying. Well, this happened just the other day. In a fire, the fire department had to rescue a bunch of people on a roller coaster that were stuck upside down.
Okay.
This was also in North Carolina.
Okay.
So it was one of the loops.
Yep.
And the roller coaster went up on the loop, and right when the entire train was exactly upside down, it stopped. And it took 2 hours before the first person was rescued, and the last person to be rescued, it was over 3 hours that they were completely upside down. My thought is, I actually thought you started to die or pass out when you're upside down that long because of the blood rush into your head.
I think you're right. I don't know about, you can die just hanging upside down. I don't know how long it takes, though.
But you can definitely pass out within 3 hours.
I would think so, yeah.
Can you imagine hanging upside down for 3 hours on a roller coaster?
I'm going to guess that hanging upside down for 3 hours is not good for you.
Did you see that movie about the climber, the cave guy who got stuck upside down?
No.
Okay, well,
it's
not good.
I was thinking, when you said that, I was thinking the 127 Hours movie.
No.
Where the guy had to cut his own arm off to get out of a
rock, a crevice?
Yeah, I'm just a crevasse.
Not a crevasse. A crevasse is big. A crevice is small.
I'm just not. That's the end of me. That's the end of me. I'm not cutting off my arm to get out.
But what's going on with roller coaster inspectors in North Carolina?
I don't know, man. That's why I don't do those. I don't go to. I'll go to Six Flags over of St. Louis.
Will you?
Yeah, because those people they know what they're doing.
They know
they're
what
on
they're
top
doing.
of it.
Yeah.
Guess which state, Amy, is one of the 12 states in the country that smoke the most?
Like cigarettes?
That's right.
Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri is one of them.
Baby.
There is a new report called by a Truth Initiative, which is a nonprofit. They focus on tobacco use, and their goal is to end tobacco use around the country. This group of states is referred to as Tobacco Nation. Missouri is one of the states. Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, Ohio, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and West Virginia. Those are the smokingest states in the country.
Wow.
Would you have ever thought?
Yeah.
I would, because when I walk by the hospital, this is astounding to me. BJC, the campus, is pretty close to where I live. And they've got signs all over that say, hey, don't smoke here. Sick people are coming in, you idiot.
With oxygen tanks.
With oxygen tanks. And there are people out there smoking.
Yeah.
Nurses.
One of the
I've seen
worst.
it.
One of the worst, I guess, smoke.
It's a stressful job.
Yeah.
So I get it.
One of the worst smoking violations I saw was years ago, and it was either the Rock and Roll Marathon or Go St. Louis. But there's a split where the half and the full might be mile 9, might be mile 10, where they split. Left, people running the half go to the left, people running the full go to the right, and there's always a volunteer there with a sign. Well, the volunteer right at that split was lighting them up, smoking
and
a
cigarette.
cigarette.
And you have to run through it?
We had to run through it, and it was also like 8 a.m.
Hey,
and the
never
cigarette
too early.
smoke was just hanging in the air. So that way, whether you ran the half or the full, you got to share that cig.
So those 12 states hold 21% of the U.S. population, but they have 28% of the smokers in the country. A quarter of the smokers in the country happen there.
Okay.
The prevalence is about 50% higher than the rest of the country.
In other news, Victor Bout, you remember him? He was the Russian arms dealer known as the Merchant of Death, and he was exchanged in a prisoner swap for WNBA star Brittany Griner. He is running for a local election in Russia. He's been approved to run for a local election. The former chief of operations for the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration told 60 Minutes that Victor Bout is one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
Oh, fun.
Well, he is. I wonder if he's using that on his campaign slogan.
Hey, you know the world's largest ketchup bottle is in Collinsville?
What?
Yeah, there's a festival coming up. Mike Gassman is the president CEO of World's Largest Ketchup Bottle. Going to be in studio with us next on KMOX.
Well, you just laughed it off, it was all okay.
Celebrate the month of the 4th with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet clean for just $129 and get a 4th room for free. Also, 20% off whole home air duct cleaning. Call right now. Ask for the DGS deal. 314-474-2020. ZeroResSTL.com.
Men, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? The medical providers at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. 98% of men see instant results on their first office visit. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Men are even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
But that's not all. For a limited time only, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now and your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
We all know how important nutrition is to our health, so why don't we do something about it? With Neovitin Men's 50 Plus, you can give your body sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to support your daily health. Formulated for men over 50, Neovitin Men's 50 Plus gives you B vitamins to support energy and our proprietary physician-formulated blend for daily support you won't find anywhere else. Do something about your health today with Neovitin Men's 50 Plus. Available at your local Schnucks and Deerbergs.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
When choosing a skilled nursing memory care community, choose Park Provence. Considered by U.S. News and World Reports as a best memory care community. For nearly 20 years, they've been the experts at treating dementia and Alzheimer's disease. If you're faced with making a difficult decision for your loved one, talk to the leaders in memory care at Park Provence. Learn more by calling 314-542-2500 or visit parkprovence.com. That's PARC Provence.com.
Get your St. Louis City SC Visa credit card now at Together Credit Union. Together Credit Union is the only place to find the official City SC fan credit card, which has special perks. You'll also get exclusive access to monthly giveaways. Visit togethercu.org for details. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
If you need solid hires fast, you need Indeed. The all-in-one hiring solution makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates from the same place. Want to find your next great hire? Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news, KMOX.
At 11 o'clock, we've got sun and 88 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour. CBS's Jim Krasula reports on 4th of July gun violence.
9 people were shot and wounded in Washington, D.C. when someone fired from a passing SUV. 3 people were killed and 6 wounded during a 4th of July block party in Shreveport, Louisiana. City Councilwoman Tabitha Taylor.
It's heartbreaking. I'm livid at the events that have occurred because this particular block party has happened every year without incident.
A woman was shot in the chest and critically hurt while watching fireworks in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Jim Krasula, CBS News.
St. Louis Public Schools down over 200 teachers district-wide.
Dr. Keisha Scarlett, who took over for the retiring Dr. Kelvin Adams on July
July 1st, says her number one goal is to get more teachers in classrooms.
We set that as priorities. The team is sprinting in order to have hiring. There are summer hiring teams just to make sure we're maximizing. So each day we're getting closer to our target of having our schools 100% staffed on the first day.
Well, Dr. Scarlett says the district has already been doing so much to recruit new teachers. You might have spied their billboards. She says she's also focusing on retaining and sustaining current teachers on staff. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
The European Union says China has abruptly canceled a visit by the bloc's top diplomat for unspecified reasons.
Security Policy Chief Josep Borrell was due to arrive in Beijing on July 10 for talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gong and other officials, according to an announcement by the EU ambassador to Beijing on Sunday. But China has cancelled Borrell's visit without saying why. While it remains unclear what caused the cancellation, it comes on the heels of a summit last week where the bloc endorsed a strategy to try to procure critical materials from sources other than China, while insisting it did not want to entirely decouple from the world's second largest economy. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
11:02. Let's take you to KMOX Sports Director Tom Ackerman.
Michael, thank you. The Cardinals have just announced they've officially placed Adam Wainwright on the injured list. They've also put catcher Andrew Kisner on the injured list. Wainwright dealing with shoulder discomfort, and Kisner was hit in the groin with a foul tip. He did spend some time in the hospital. He is said to be back with the team now, and we should get a further update on his condition later this afternoon before the 5:40 game. The Cardinals also announcing that catcher Ivan Herrera, right-handed pitcher Dakota Hudson, and left-handed pitcher Zach Thompson were all recalled from AAA Memphis today, and all three of them will be active for tonight's game. James Nail was optioned to Memphis. I'm Tom Ackerman, KMOX Sports.
Thank you, Tom. The KMOX Business Desk. That package you are expecting to arrive might take a bit longer as a strike of UPS workers could be on the horizon.
Negotiations between the Teamsters Union and UPS come to a screeching halt around 4 a.m. In a tweet, the union reps say the suburban Atlanta-based company walked away from the table after presenting an unacceptable offer. However, UPS says it was the other side who stopped talking and left negotiations. Over the weekend, Teamsters General President Sean O'Brien says there is a clear line in the sand.
They don't concede to our demands. They stay loyal to Wall Street and forget about Main Street.
Union members have authorized a strike to take place at the end of the month if an agreement is not reached. Michelle Wright for CBS News, Atlanta.
The Dow from Stifel down 98 points to 34,320.
This afternoon, a heavy thunderstorm in spots through the early evening. Those storms can bring flooding, downpours, hail, and damaging wind gusts. High of 94. Sticky tonight, low of 72. Shower thunderstorm tomorrow, high of 85. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Matt Benz on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. Right now, Sun 89 and Florissant 89, St. Peter's 88, downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Martins came over, we were having spaghetti when we suddenly noticed that we started getting sweaty. So we grabbed the keys and we ate it in the bed. That's what my friend said, call Cherry Kelly, man, CherryKelly.com. Give him a call, even though it's late, CherryKelly.com.
The Chris and Amy Show.
Sponsored by the Cardinals. Cardinal tickets for 2023 are on sale now and start at just $6. Info@cardinals.com.
Sammy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji on KMOX, hour 2 of the show. Hope you're listening on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. If you're not on one of the frequencies, AM or FM, 1120 AM, 98.7 FM. When I was a child, I grew up in Granite City, and every time we would go to Fairview Heights, to St. Clair Square,
Yeah.
the mall.
Yep.
I loved the mall. I would make my parents drive past the world's largest ketchup bottle. And they would say, oh, it's out of the way. There's a highway. Can't we just take the interstate? And say, no, I want to see the ketchup bottle. So we'd have to go out of our way to look at it. And it's in Collinsville. And the world's largest ketchup bottle festival is back, baby. And joining us in studio now, the president and CEO of World's Largest Ketchup Bottle, Mike Gassman from Collinsville. Hello, Mike.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
Good
so
morning.
It's 5 years. This festival has been off. It is coming back this Saturday. It will go on from 11 o'clock until 5 in the afternoon. What are we in for?
Yes, it's going to be a good time. Yeah, it's been 5 years since we did it last time. We say we're a victim of our own success. We've got a very small core volunteer committee that produced this thing for 20 years, and we were burned out. So we decided it was just too big, and we didn't want it to become unmanageable. So we didn't want that. That's no fun for anybody. So we took a break, and now we're back, and we can't wait to do this again.
Okay, so how big is the ketchup bottle?
The ketchup bottle is
Have
one.
you not seen it?
No.
Oh, Amy,
I've
come
never.
on.
I've seen the world's largest Fabergé egg.
Well, okay, we don't care about that. We have the ketchup bottle.
The ketchup bottle is 170 feet tall.
Oh
now,
my gosh.
Now the bottle itself is made out of riveted steel. It was built in 1949, and it is 70 feet tall, and it's got the water tower legs beneath it are 100 feet tall. So you get a grand total of 170 feet.
That's
And
incredible.
it holds 100,000 gallons of water or ketchup, whatever you want to put in it.
Well, but what do you put in it? It's
Yeah,
just the
what
water,
is
yeah.
it, ketchup?
I'm sorry?
Is it
ketchup
ketchup?
expires, so.
Right.
Oh,
But I mean, like
that's
maybe on
true.
the 4th of July, Joey Chestnut could use some of the ketchup.
Oh, you don't do ketchup on a hot dog for the contest.
Not with an attitude like that.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, let me say something here. We put ketchup on our hot dogs for our hot dog eating contest.
Oh, you do?
Yes, we do. We
Okay.
have a hot dog
Perfect.
eating contest, and it's hot dogs smothered in ketchup.
Oh my gosh.
We also do a tater tot eating contest, and the tater tots are also smothered in
Now
ketchup.
they would have to be.
Yes,
They
the
would.
tots,
They would
of course.
absolutely have to be.
So we don't get a lot of people from Chicago that like ketchup on their dogs.
No, it's gross.
But every once in a while, we'll have somebody with a Cubs hat eating those hot dogs with ketchup on it. So it's not too bad.
That's really very impressive. Look at this guy. He spends too much time in Chicago.
Yeah,
That's
so
his problem.
I don't like I liked the ketchup on the hot dog when I was 5. I grew out of it.
Yes, we've heard that before. Yes.
There's, to be completely honest, I will put ketchup on anything.
But ketchup is great
I
on
don't
everything
have to.
else.
Like, I don't have to put ketchup on
Yes.
anything, but I'm trying to think of something that I wouldn't eat because there was ketchup on it. I could eat anything with ketchup. I love
Steak?
ketchup. I've done that. I don't do that, but I would.
I did that when I was 5 too. So
French fries. Oh my gosh. Can I get your opinion real quick before we get down to business? Because I always talk about like red flags, if you were dating or meeting somebody. And I'm not going to say which way I lean, but when it comes to French fries, do you dip the French fries in the ketchup or do you squeeze the ketchup all over the plate of fries?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
Tread lightly.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, there's only one answer here, but go ahead.
Well, I'm going to go down the middle of the road and say, depending on where I am, I will do it either way.
You will not.
I will. If I'm in a fancy restaurant getting fries and ketchup, I'll dip. But if
Okay.
I'm in my corner bar, I'll smother them.
Interesting. Well, very diplomatic of you. That's
What?
the wrong
Hold
answer.
on a second. Hold on a second. What fancy restaurant are you going to?
I'm dipping fries in ketchup.
Here's your fries, sir.
Well, thank you.
Could be anywhere.
This wine pairs nicely with Heinz.
That's the way I roll. Oh, Brooks ketchup.
Brooks ketchup.
Come on, Ron.
Yes,
Sorry.
sir.
Brooks ketchup.
Yes,
That's what
sir.
the bottle says.
Brooks
Okay.
ketchup is still being produced, by the way.
Okay.
It's not so easy to find. If you can go to your local Schnucks or your Deerbergs, you may have to ask, and it may be on the bottom shelf in the back, but it's still available.
You have entertainment at the festival. I know the mascots are going to be there. You have Izzy from the Blues. Who else do you have?
Yeah, Izzy from the Grizzlies and Louis from the Blues.
Louis from the Blues.
And
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm all over the place today.
I might jinx this, but we are currently in negotiations with Grimace from McDonald's
Get
because
No, we got to tell Rachel Zimmerman from the Dave Glover Show.
Yes.
She loves Grimace.
I love Grimace, and we finally got through to his people just this morning, in fact. And so we're going to try to get something worked out. Hopefully, he can make it this Saturday.
How
Oh
did
my
you,
God, that
how do
would
you
be so
get a
great.
hold of Grimace's people?
It wasn't easy.
I bet.
That's what I'm saying. We've been on this Grimace track down Grimace since for at least 6 weeks.
Wow.
And finally, this morning, I got the email, so I was very excited.
I can't
So-
believe you got an answer that quickly. I thought you were going to say 6 months.
Yeah.
Because
No,
I
it
feel
was-
like that would take a long time to get a hold of Grimace.
Well, I had a good start. I know some people.
You got an in? You got an in with the Grimace people?
Not as much as I used to, but yeah. So it's all good. Yeah.
So what are the odds you think Grimace will be there?
Oh, well, you don't know me, but now you're going to get to know me more. I'd say about 50-50.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Or do you
So,
always say 50-50?
I'm right down the middle.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that would be worth it.
Oh,
Okay.
it's going to be right. It's going to be awesome if he can show. Yes.
How did you guys decide to spell out the world's largest catsup, CATSUP, versus ketchup, KETCH?
Well, on the water tower itself, it is spelled with a C.
Yep.
CATSUP. And so a lot of people are unfamiliar that this was actually a tomato factory. They canned tomatoes. They made ketchup. They canned a lot of different foods way back in the day. And so in 1949, they built this water tower for factory use and for fire protection. But somebody came up with the genius idea to build this water tower in the shape of a ketchup bottle, and they painted it like a ketchup bottle, and it was spelled CATSUP. Now, Brooks Company spells it with a K, just like everybody else. So it's really unique that it's still spelled with a C on the
It was
on the bottle.
like an 80, 90 years ago kind of thing to spell it that way, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And at some point, even up until the 90s, Brooks was still spelling it with a C, and then they switched over to the K. I think when Heinz sort of like took over the ketchup world,
Yeah.
everybody wanted to spell it with a K, like Heinz did, so that they didn't seem out of the loop.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of the C spelling.
Okay, here's another controversial question. This is from a texter. This texter may or may not be my mom. Okay, do you keep your bottle of ketchup? You have ketchup at home. Do you keep it in the fridge or do you keep it in the pantry?
This has been a thing over the last few days.
Yeah.
It has been. And if you at our home, yes, we keep it in the fridge.
Interesting. We started keeping it in the pantry after we saw a Hallmark movie where the boss goes, "Do you keep your ketchup in the fridge or in the pantry?" And she says, "I keep it in the fridge." And she asked her why. She said, "Because I don't know, someone told her to." And she said, "I keep mine in the fridge, but I do it because I want to, not because someone told me to." And it turned into this very profound moment. And at any rate, we keep ours in the pantry now.
Hallmark movie's a little edgy for your family, isn't it?
Thanks for sharing, Amy.
Yeah, Amy is Mike, that's what I was thinking. But it's like this once every other day.
Okay.
No, but
We're both off today. I'm off, you're off.
where do you keep your ketchup?
In the fridge.
After it's opened, it should go in the fridge.
Yeah, it just
But it
just
doesn't
makes it
have
last.
to.
Now, I
Ketchup
like
is incredibly versatile.
well, I like room temperature ketchup.
Yep.
But it keeps longer in the fridge.
How you need to go through your ketchup faster.
Well, I don't. I
Buy
don't
a
do that.
smaller bottle.
I'll well, I've got a
Have you
Brooks
noticed?
size bottle.
Think of it this way.
In my
At restaurants, they don't keep the ketchup in the fridge at restaurants. All the
that's
table
right
ketchup
because they
is
go
out.
because they're used very quickly.
Yeah.
So, Mike,
Okay, let's get down to business.
let's get back to the business. After
This is
Amy,
business.
you
We're
derailed the
talking
whole thing.
ketchup.
We are talking to Mike Gassman, president of the world's largest ketchup bottle, with us here in studio. And at the festival on Saturday, you will crown Princess Tomato and Sir Ketchup.
Yes.
So how does that work?
Yes, we will. These are for youngsters age 3 to 6. And registration is already closed, I'm sorry to say, because we've got a full house already, which is just going to be fantastic. So these little kids, it's so cute. They get up on the stage, they state their name, they say how much they love ketchup, how much they love the ketchup bottle, and then they have to have a inspiring ketchup quote or a ketchup fact to impress the judges.
Oh.
And so with it's a fun thing. It's not a beauty pageant. It's kind of more of a talent show, but it's really, really fun. So the reigning, okay, here's what's kind of cool. The reigning Princess Tomato and Sir Ketchup have been able to have their titles now for over 5 years.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. So they're going to come back and
Have they aged out?
they can't be reelected. No.
Okay.
But they will be back and they will help crown the new ketchup royalty on Saturday.
Not gonna lie, a little embarrassed that I didn't realize it was only for kids. And the fact that it has already filled up has probably saved me some public humiliation.
Were you going to sign up for
Why
it?
not? Doesn't that sound fun?
Yes, it does, but not for you.
Well, you could have been.
I could have been Sir Ketchup.
Yeah.
Well, I will invite both of you to come join the hot dogs smothered in ketchup eating contest.
Okay, see,
Because we do have kids
Cool.
categories and adult categories.
we had on Monday we had a professional eater on the show, Juan Rodriguez, who's been in the Nathan's contests 10 years. He didn't do it this year, but he's been in for 10 years. And I told him I think it's the most disgusting event in history. I can't watch it.
I can't watch it
watch
either.
it, let alone
Well-
participate in it.
Well, you know, with the Nathan's thing, don't they dip their hot dogs in the water
Water.
and stuff like that?
Yes.
That is so gross.
Yes,
we
it
don't allow
is.
that. We do not allow that. I will
Okay.
not stand for that.
Okay.
They have a
Yes.
hula hoop competition and a balloon toss game. You could do either of those.
I can't. Oh, I can do balloon toss.
You can't hula hoop?
I mean, when I was 6.
I can hula hoop.
I used to be
well,
able to do
your
everything
life
when I was
really
6.
peaked at 6.
It really did, man.
Yeah.
Ketchup on everything, hula hooping. It was great.
All downhill.
What else can we expect at the festival Saturday?
Let's see. Well, we got some live music coming in later in the afternoon at 4:00,
Nice.
and then we've got another band coming in at 6:30. So music goes until late in the evening. Probably, well, late is a relative term, but let's say 9:30 or 10. So that's always fun.
And this, I'm on the website right now, Ketchup Bottle Festival, and it's CATSUP, ketchupbottlefestival.com. And that has information that people will need, directions, the address, all the events.
Yes.
It looks like a ton of fun.
It was a ton of fun for the 20 years we did it, and hopefully we can still produce something that's going to be a whole lot of fun.
And-
Because
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll just say, and it is a new location.
Yes.
If you went to the old one, 5 years ago,
yeah.
and
That's
you went,
important.
this is a new location.
Very good. Thank you, Amy. Yes, we had it out at the City Park, Woodland Park previously. This year, we're moving it back downtown to our central business district, our historic Main Street area. It's actually on Clay Street, and it's a new location called Herald Square. And it's right next door to the Old Herald Brewery and Distillery. Full service restaurant, family friendly, great food, tasty beverages. And they've built, they cleared out the rest of the block. They built a permanent band shell, a great green space, and we're going to fill that up on Saturday. Oh,
Awesome.
also, I got to put in a plug for our merchandise. We've got all kinds of really, really cool t-shirts and hats and coffee mugs and shot glasses that double as a ketchup dipping cup when you go to a fancy restaurant.
This is awesome.
Absolutely bring my
and
shot glass for
The
ketchup
merchandise is available online. The selling merchandise is our bread and butter. We can't get away from that.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna get a T-shirt and a coffee mug. I'm on the website right now. Now I can buy the merch online.
yes, ma'am.
All right.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
This is
Good.
awesome.
Certainly
And it's
can.
free to go, right?
Yes,
You're
absolutely
not free to
free.
get in.
Yep,
Awesome.
free to get in. And what else? Our Great Rivers and Routes Tourism Bureau is a big sponsor of ours, a big partner.
Yep.
So we love those guys. Had to give them a shout out, and that's great.
Mike Gassman, thanks for coming in. It is the world's largest ketchup bottle festival this Saturday from 11 to 5 at Herald Square in Collinsville. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you guys. It was a pleasure being on, and we'll catch up with you later.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. That was great. You've been sitting on that one, haven't you?
I just, it's in the back of my head every time, and I can't wait till it's over so I can say it.
I love that. Mike Gassman, President, CEO of the
And-
world's largest ketchup bottle in studio. Thanks, Mike.
Sure. My
Yeah,
pleasure.
You had one more. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, okay, my real official title is President, CEO, and Big Tomato of World's Largest Ketchup Bottle Inc.
You know, when my old barber in Chicago, when I see him, he says, "Hey, you got a new tomato in your life? A tomato is a woman." I've never heard that before. Hey, you got a tomato? That's what he says. He's an Italian guy.
Well,
I don't know.
we have a poster from the Tourism Bureau that they produced quite a few years ago. It's a beautiful oil painting of the ketchup bottle, and the tagline at the bottom is, "You should see our tomatoes, world's largest ketchup bottle." And I'm like, oh, okay, great, yeah, sure. we'll go
sold.
with that.
Sold. Thank you, Mike. Have fun this weekend.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Again,
Appreciate
world's
it.
largest ketchup bottle festival this Saturday in Collinsville at Herald Square. It's Chris and Amy on KMOX.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to KMOX for all the news, sports, talk, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Manchester Coin and Jewelry is the estate buyers. They buy collectibles from vintage toy trains, musical instruments, military, and more. Located on Manchester Road, west of 141. It's Manchester Coin and Jewelry.
According to the U.S. debt clock, in the time you hear this commercial, our nation's debt will go up by $1.5 million. That's more than $2 billion a day. Right now, our debt is over $31 trillion and climbing fast. The question is, how do we pay it off? The answer is increasing taxes. Now think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now when rates are historically low, or later when rates are potentially higher? Whether you should pay taxes now or in retirement depends on a lot of things. Heisey Advisory Group knows what to look for and can help you create a customized plan so your retirement is as tax efficient as possible. Schedule your visit with Heisey Advisory Group now, 314-328-4400. That's 314-328-4400.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisors. Security products and services made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. AEFS and Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC are not affiliated. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
When do you need to see an ophthalmologist? Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. Now, that's a good question. If your vision is blurry, you notice dark spots in the middle of your field of vision, you're seeing flashes or new floaters, if you have difficulty seeing distances, if there's a sharp pain in one eye along with vision changes, or if you have trouble driving because of glare, these are all good reasons to make your appointment with the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000 and yourEyeDoc.com. And if your eyes are itchy and scratchy, that might be more than allergies. The doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Andrew Royer, and Robert Brusati are also leaders in dry eye diagnosis and treatment. I've been a patient of theirs for about 25 years. In Sullivan, St. Peter's, and their main headquarters, 270 in Manchester, 314-966-5000 and yourEyeDoc.com.
News, talk, sports. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Chris and Amy on KMOX. Amy, I love how you have aged out of the Princess Tomato contest.
I know.
You can't be Princess Tomato.
You know, I think I shouldn't have shared the Hallmark movie story because I feel like it was a little in the weeds.
Well, of course it is. But that's what you do. Every now and then you share a story that doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah.
And then our guest has to say, okay, well, back to business now.
But here's the thing. I was talking about ketchup. Ketchup is the business.
It is the business. Not the way you do it, though.
Hey, speaking of the world's largest ketchup bottle and the world's largest everything, you a member at Costco?
I am not a member. Why would I be a member at Costco?
That's a great point. I am not a member of Costco. However, mason jar and his family, they are, right? Because if you're buying for a family, it makes sense to go to Costco. So I've gone to Costco more in the past 6 months than I've gone in my entire life. And I can tell you what, the store is amazing. It's got everything. Not only, we talk about the giant sizes, but you can buy shirts that you're going to wear, like a dress shirt, and then a giant jar of pickles and maybe some pliers, and just throw them all in the cart. And the snacks are outstanding. They've got really great like bags of snacks at Costco. So anyway, bad news if you've been committing identity fraud and using someone else's Costco card.
I don't think it's identity fraud, but yes.
Yeah. They are following in the steps of Netflix. Costco is cracking down on account sharing and said it will be checking membership cards to ensure the photo matches the person at the checkout line. The company says, and it makes sense, they don't think that it's right that all these non-members are getting the same benefits and pricing as people who are paying for a membership. And though Costco has always asked customers, here, show your membership card at the register, it's seen more non-members shopping with other people's cards, especially as self-checkout expands. So now, if a membership card doesn't have a photo, customers will be asked to present a photo ID.
I'd like to know what the real world effect is going to be for any of the account sharing crackdowns that are happening, because they're doing it with Netflix. And Netflix is probably the most famous example recently.
And it may prove to be incredibly profitable for Netflix.
For now. But I wonder after a period of time how that's going to change. It may not. It may continue to prove to be profitable. But a lot of companies are starting to do this. My understanding is HBO eventually, or Max, is eventually going to go that route. I would guess a lot of the others are. In fact, Max right now, they have a disclaimer where they are discouraging you from sharing your login information. They can't totally prevent it. My guess is that means eventually they're going to go that route.
Yeah.
Where they're going to prevent you from giving it to somebody else. So I wonder if ultimately, because people are tired of subscriptions.
Yeah.
And there are more subscription-based things than there used to be. Because it's Netflix, and then you want Hulu, got to have Hulu, and you want Max, fine, you got to pay for that. Now you got to pay for Twitter. I don't know if there's an end to it, but it feels like there isn't. Like just a never-ending string of subscriptions, and people are exhausted of it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But what I will tell you is it's worth getting your Costco membership. The lines to check out were so long, and I'm talking Chick-fil-A efficiency, in and out. I don't know how they do it.
I need to buy more in bulk.
You should just be a member for the fun of it. You can buy tires and Honey Bunches of Oats in the same go.
I can get gas too.
Oh man.
Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji. When we come back, we will give you the birds on KMOX.
Hey guys, this is Dave from the Dave Glover Show, 1 to 5 p.m. on KMOX. So you can't do a talk show without talking about politics now and then. I consider myself to be a down-the-middle, independent, free-thinking guy. I am capable of my mind being changed. Hopefully I'm capable of at least challenging you. With 5 people on the show, you're going to find someone who you align with. It's honest, it's real, it's challenging, and it's fun. That's 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. every day on KMOX.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
James talks about his experience with 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
My wife and I had been talking for several years about getting our kitchen and bathroom remodeled. We'd had some bids actually been made. The thing that always put us off was that they were talking about 2 or 3 months to get all this work done. We heard about 3-Day Bath and Kitchen. We thought we'd give it a try. They spent 3 days on one of our items and 4 days on another, and the cost was about the same thing as all of the people gave us 3-month estimates for. They went out of their way to make sure that we were satisfied with everything when the job was finished. There's simply no question about the idea that they want satisfied customers and they want people who are pleased with their work.
It's about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
At 11:30, it's sunny and 90 degrees downtown at the Arch. Roster moves by the Cardinals today. They've placed Adam Wainwright and catcher Adam Kisner on the injured list. Catcher Ivan Herrera, right-handed pitcher Dakota Hudson, and left-handed pitcher Zach Thompson are being recalled from AAA Memphis for tonight's game against Miami. This weekend marked another holiday marred by violence with mass shootings in Philadelphia, Fort Worth, and more. Psychology professor Dr. Allison Holman.
When you're addressing these things, perhaps instead of focusing so much on the details of the event, to focus more on what can you do to help yourself stay safe.
There's been another run-in with Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, as CBS News correspondent Cammie McCormick tells us.
The U.S. Navy says in the latest incident, Iran tried to seize 2 oil tankers, firing shots at them. They backed off after the U.S. Navy responded. Iran has seized 5 commercial vessels in the last 2 years, according to the U.S. military, and has harassed several others.
20% of all crude oil passes through the narrow mouth of the Persian Gulf. This afternoon, hot with intervals of clouds and sunshine. Heavy thunderstorm through the evening could bring flooding, downpours, hail, damaging winds. High today 94, tonight's low 72. Sponsored by Chesterfield Fence and Deck, your premier provider of fences, decks, patios, sunrooms, and more. Call them for a free estimate today, now offering 20% off your next outdoor project. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, chesterfieldfence.com. Sun 90, downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Are you tired of exposing your retirement savings to stock market risk? How would you like to participate in stock market gains but never stock market losses? Hi, this is Ben Coons, host of the Retirement and Income Radio Show. This week, I'll be on at 7 a.m. Saturday morning so we can enjoy the afternoon baseball game. Call me now for my free retirement and income book at 844-513-7233. And as always, go to the Odyssey app where you can hear my podcast.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Tree Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Hi, I'm Paul Goldschmidt. Hi, I'm Miles Michaelis. I'm Adam Wainwright, and you're listening to the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Tonight, it's the Cards and Marlins. Ameren Total Access 445. First pitch 540.
KMOX is Cardinals Radio.
Now, the John Rooney Conversation on KMOX. Sponsored by Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you're a Missourian, we're for you.
The pitch. Burleson hits a ground ball to the second baseman. The throw to first. That's the ball game. This one is over. The Marlins have won the first 2 games in this series. 5-4 last night and 15-2 today.
Ooh, it's rough out there. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on KMOX. Tough day for the Cardinals yesterday. Not just about the outcome of the game, but they lose a guy for a period of time, and we go to the Quiver River Electric guest line this morning, and we bring in radio voice of the Cardinals. John Rooney is with us today on KMOX. How are you, John?
I'm all right, Chris, but they did put Adam Wainwright on the injured list with a shoulder problem, and Andrew Kisner, who was hit in the groin area with a foul tip yesterday, he's on the injured list. So they've called back Ivan Herrera and Zach Thompson, a left-hander they sent down to stretch out to work as a starter. And that project has been going so-so, but he's back. And he was very good out of the bullpen when he was with the Cardinals. And they've sent James Nail out as well, and Dakota Hudson will join the team here in Miami.
So naturally, the question is, but from a lot of fans who have been watching, how long has Wainwright been dealing with this? And could this be a reason we've seen him be less effective this year?
I'm not sure. That's something you'd have to ask him. I think players play through pain and situations. Many do, especially this time of year. So maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. I'm not sure. That would be a question for Adam.
You know, that is an interesting topic in itself. And players have, and you know this, having covered baseball for a long time. And I remember talking to a lot of pitchers in particular who would try to pitch through issues, and teams would have a very difficult time trying to save them from themselves. You know what I mean? Like trying to make sure that they did not try to be a hero and pitch through something if it was bothering them. That is a real challenge for teams to try and make sure guys who feel like they can't take time off, they feel like they're letting the team down if they do. It's a challenge to get them to not pitch if they're feeling something.
It is, and you can't get in a guy's head to see if he's hurt or he's not. That's something the individual knows. And many times I'm not so quick to criticize because I'm not sure what that player is going through. Like Nolan Arenado right now, I can only imagine. He has back issues, but he's playing through them. He's still out there in the field. And they finally had to shut Brendan Donovan down because he had a tired, sore arm. And he was making so many different throws, different angles, playing in the outfield, different infield spots and all that they didn't put him on the injured list because he can still hit. But they had to put him at first base yesterday, and he wasn't going to throw anywhere, even if he had to. He was just out there because they had to put Burleson in to finish up the game. Yesterday was just a total mess, and I'm glad it's over.
Yeah, it was. And I guess the one positive here is the comments from Wainwright. At least he's going about this with a very positive attitude. He said, I'm either going to come back and pitch great or I'll be a great cheerleader. The plan is the first one. The plan is I'm not giving up. There are very few players that I can think of historically, as it pertains to the Cardinals, who have that kind of drive. And most athletes, professional athletes, have a certain drive. A lot of the rest of us don't, or they wouldn't be there. But that's a very good quality to have.
Well, Chris, if we could all do it, we would. If we could just walk out there, hey, we're playing Major League Baseball today, and let's hit a couple of home runs or strike out 5 guys. They make it look so simple. They really do. And I've learned over the years, the farther away from the dirt, and we're a long way in a lot of these press boxes, away from the dirt, the easier it looks. But with what they deal with on a day-to-day basis, and they may sleep on their side at night or sleep on a pillow the wrong way and have a stiff neck, and some choose to try to work through it, and others need another day. But that's something they have to discuss with the training staff. And Adam Wainwright has figured out so many things. I mean, he was moving from one side of the rubber to the other, just trying to get a different angle, maybe, or a little more of a break or a little more something on either his cutter or his curveball yesterday, but it just didn't work out for him. But if Adam Wainwright says he's going to be back and he's going to make a strong effort to have a great finish, then you better count on it, because that's something he's done throughout his career. I don't care how old he is.
Well, I do hope he's able to do it, and hope that he's able to be effective when he does come back. The Cardinals now 11.5 games out of first place. This is such an new territory for all of us, I think, because it has been so long since this team, for a long period of time like this, has been in the basement, has been 11.5 games out of first place. What is it like for the team itself that is trying to navigate this, knowing how far behind they are, and also knowing that they are rarely in a position like this?
I don't think they really look at it that way. They show up to work, they go through their routine, they put the work in. It's not for lack of effort, Chris. I see it every day. I see what they do to prepare, and taking a look at video and studying the reports that they get, and taking a look at the metrics of what's involved with a certain pitcher or a certain player, knowing where to play a certain player in the outfield. They go through everything like that every day. The coaches work just as hard as the players trying to get that information to them. But I don't think they look at it, and they can't. They can't look at the standings right now. They can't look at anything but today. I've been saying that over and over again, and we could probably replay a dozen of these, that they have to take care of today. And they're on a razor-thin line between winning and losing. And Ricky has pointed this out, that sometimes it feels like the Cardinals, when they win a game, they have to win it 3 different times within the same game. Because if they make a mistake, it seems to be amplified so much more than it has in the past. All those one-run losses, you'd think by accident you'd win 5 or 6 of those, but they haven't. If they make a mistake or an error in judgment, or a pitcher misses a spot, it seems to blow up on them just as it did. You consider the Houston game where Giovanni Gallegos gave up the home runs. If the Cardinals had won that, I don't think they lose 14-0 the next day. Had the Cardinals managed to win the first game of this series, I don't think they would have lost 15-2 yesterday. But that's the razor-thin line I'm talking about right now. They have to take care of tonight. And if they take care of tonight and take care of tomorrow, they'll get out of Florida with a split and then move on to play the White Sox going to the break.
John, I know we said that this is a historically difficult season for the Cardinals. What about you as a broadcaster? And I guess then obviously you've been with this team, and this would stretch back to your days with the White Sox. Have you ever called games for a team that had expectations that were so much higher than the performance once the season hit?
Oh, probably not. I've had 8 teams finish under 500, and 7 actually. This is the 8th team under 500 that I've broadcast in all the years that I've been with a team, and that goes back to 1987. I was with the Twins. They went from last to first and won it all. But I had a couple of teams with the White Sox. One that won 42% of their games, another one that lost 43. And they didn't have the star power of a Goldschmidt and an Arenado. They had Carlton Fisk was there, but he was on the downside of his career. Harold Baines was a DH and playing with bad knees and made it all the way to the Hall of Fame. But Harold wasn't the player he was when he first came up with the White Sox. No, not with the expectations. The pitching was growing at that time with the White Sox, and things got better from that point on. But I haven't been with many teams that finished under 500. But it's like anybody else. Ricky and I and Claves, Jim Jackson, we show up every day, and we want that team to win on that day. And we prepare for that as we go in and then adjust accordingly. Yesterday was just totally miserable. And as I said, I'm glad it's over.
Is it any different calling games for a team that you kind of knew going into the season, it's going to be rough for this team, versus a team, like you said, that has the star power and could or should be better than they are?
Well, it's a different path those teams take. Like at that point, the White Sox were drafting, and they were able to pick up guys like Frank Thomas and Robin Ventura, Jack McDowell, Alex Fernandez, and those were the cornerstones to teams that won divisions. They didn't make it to the World Series and didn't get there until 2005, but that's what they did at the time. You're following that kind of team, Amy, talking about the progress and probably talking about a lot of the failures of young players and pitchers as they take their lumps at the big league level, learn from them, and get better. You know, Glavine and Maddox and all those guys, they didn't become Hall of Famers overnight. They really got beaten around when they first came up, but they figured it out. I think that's the big difference, where we had all these expectations. It just hasn't worked out to this point, but the Cardinals have to prepare, prepare to go out there tonight and do what they can to win a ball game. I've said so many times, it's tough to win one game, let alone win a championship, and the Cardinals are experiencing that right now.
I thought it was a fascinating look into the inner workings of a team. Miles Michaelis a couple of days ago talking about in his last start, he decided in the first inning to call pitches for himself. Pitchers don't usually do that. A lot of times catchers do. He said he wanted to try something different, and he said it did not work out. His exact words were, "I'm never calling pitches again. Let Willie do it," talking about Wilson Contreras. Have you seen that before, where a pitcher decides to play around a little bit with something and it doesn't work and they abandon it quickly?
I think there have been several pitchers try to use the pitch com, and they allowed that this year, where pitchers can call their own game. I'm trying to think, maybe it was Chris Bassett that we saw doing it, and then he ended up going back to the catcher, putting the fingers down for the rest of his outing. I'm not quite sure it was him, but some pitcher did that earlier this year. They're going to try things. I mean, it's technology. It's new. And if they figure, all right, I can get through the first inning, I'll see what I can do to set my own pattern. But after that, he abandoned what he was doing, and he had retired 14 in a row when he walked 2 in a row. And then Andre Palante came in, gave up a double to Gurriel, and those runs scored, and then gave up a hit to the next batter, Cortez, the catcher, and that turned out to be the ball game. You don't want to play one-run games with the Miami Marlins. They're like 20-5 in one-run games, where the Cardinals have dropped 18 of those. But it can go in a hurry, and I think things worked out a little better for Michaelis. But he had a couple of starts where they mirrored one another, where he gave up a couple of base runners against Houston the night the Cardinals lost, when Gallegos gave up the home runs. And then he had the 2 walks here that turned into runs in Miami. That's the razor-thin line I'm talking about. Make a mistake, the Cardinals have to pay for it. Well, other teams might get by with some of those.
John Rooney tonight. It is the Cardinals in Miami. 5:40 is the first pitch tonight, which means the pregame show is at 45. Yeah, 4:45. So bring us a winner tonight.
I think I'll stay for the whole game tonight.
You know what? I don't think you're allowed to leave. If you did, we'll come look for you.
Here, Ricky, just call this. I'll see you in Chicago.
Actually, I know a guy who used to do that.
Really?
He'd say, yeah, just here, take this inning. I'm leaving. Yeah. I think we
Phil
both knew a guy.
Rizzuto used to be Phil Rizzuto used to be across the bridge, the GW Bridge, by the end of the 7th inning. But he was allowed to do that.
I'm beating traffic. Yeah.
Yeah. He'd finish up. He'd be done after 6, and he'd be across that bridge by the end of the 7th.
So funny. John Rooney, thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week.
John.
That is John Rooney, radio voice of the Cardinals. Yeah, I used to work with a fella who would just say, I'm not doing this inning. I'll see you. And he goes sit in the back of the booth and just chat with people.
Hey,
It was so great. I loved it.
Before we stop talking baseball, I don't know if you saw this. You know, with the Yankees game rain delay mess where they kept pushing back, they had to make a doubleheader, right? Because the Yankees game was rained out and they made it a doubleheader, and then the doubleheader got pushed back. There was a sign. I don't think this is photoshopped, but this is the giant Budweiser sign at Busch Stadium. It says, after game 1, we ask fans in suites and all-inclusive areas to please relocate to an open seat in the general seating bowl. All fans with game 1 tickets may also stay for game 2. Fans with tickets for game 2 may proceed to their seats for both the conclusion of game 1 and game 2. Fans with tickets for game 2 will have priority for all ticketed seats for the end of game 1 and tonight's game 2.
I am confused. If I were reading that,
I think
yes.
it's real.
If I were reading that and I was a few pops in, I'd be like, I have no idea what that says.
I would just stay
Somebody
in my
tell
seat.
me where to go.
Yeah, like someone's gonna make me move.
But really, they're trying to kick people out. Hey, the suites, you're drinking all the beer. Get out of here.
How do you clear the stadium? Like, I didn't know how that was going to work. I've never gone to a game 2 or a game 1 of a doubleheader, especially when the game 1 has been pushed back. Anyway, seemed like it was a little chaotic.
Not only is Amy confused about this, but there's another thing she's confused by. We'll tell you what that is next on KMOX.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're here for all of life's wins. Like when you get a new car, or new boat, or new driver, or when your son moves out, but your mom moves in, or you find out you're expecting again, or when one rental property turns into 2, then 20, or you realize they're all in Tornado Alley. Life is full of life events, so call your Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance agent or visit mofbinsurance.com to find an agent near you, and we'll make sure you have the right coverage for each of life's wins.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're for the people of Missouri, in good times and in bad. We're for Missouri families and Missouri communities. We're for giving back to those communities and lifting people up. And when Missouri weather rips through our state, we're for helping put back the pieces. We're for brighter days and new tomorrows. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you live in Missouri, we're for you.
Hey, it's Debbie in Monterey. Have you noticed that for sale signs in your neighborhood have been up for longer than normal? Why? Well, they probably don't have my friend and trusted realtor Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty's name on them, because agent selection matters. And that's why I recommend you call Gloria Liu. I've been telling you about Gloria for years now, and you should call Gloria before you list your home. Gloria has the buyers. More than 2,400 exclusive buyers in her database looking for a home in your neighborhood. Gloria sells twice as fast and for 5% more money on average when compared to other agents. With Gloria, you sell faster and for more money. And Gloria will guarantee upfront in writing that she'll sell your home at your price and your time frame, or she will buy your home herself. Call Gloria Liu today at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Get ready to celebrate KMOX Day at the ballpark. Returning to Busch Stadium Wednesday, August 30th. With a purchase of a special theme ticket, fans will take home an exclusive KMOX Cardinals stein. Celebrating the all-time great That's a Winner Jack Buck Call.
The winner! A World Series winner for the Cardinals!
Only fans that present their theme ticket at the distribution will be eligible to receive the item. Exchanges will not be available at distribution. KMOX Day at the ballpark. Wednesday, August 30th. Get your tickets now.
Whether you're looking to fill low spots in your lawn, backfill that new retaining wall, or mulch your trees and flower beds, St. Louis Composting has the compost, soil, or mulch you need to help your plants and garden look its very best. Visit our website, stlcompost.com, for more information.
Hi, folks. Joe Buck. The experts at New Space understand your home office is an important part of your home. Whether you work from home remotely or just need a place to get online, New Space can help design a comfortable space. Go to newspace.com to get started on your custom home office. That's newspace.com.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. For the best eye doctors, you need to see the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. YourEyeDoc.com, 314-966-5000.
You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this.
The Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
All right, Amy, what don't you get?
Okay, first of all, a lot of people don't know the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke.
This one's easy.
No, it's not. And here's the thing. Monday, right? It was Monday. Hottest
Monday was
day on record.
Hottest day in the history of the recorded planet. The average temperature around the globe was 62.618, which is the hottest ever recorded for an average temp.
Seems pretty hot. I mean, overall, 62 sounds like a great day, but again, that's 62, the average.
Right.
Yeah.
So that includes the poles.
Right, like the Penguins.
Yeah, the Penguins can't do 62.
62 is way too hot.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I know everyone like laughs like, oh, heat stroke, heat exhaustion. Well, first of all, I know people don't know the difference because a lot of times people use heat stroke and heat exhaustion almost interchangeably. Like the way people say, oh, yeah, I just had a 24-hour flu. Well, it's not the flu. It's not the flu. The flu is not a 24-hour thing.
Right.
You had a bug, a little virus, but it's not the flu. So heat stroke and heat exhaustion. Here's heat exhaustion. You feel faint or dizzy. You have excessive sweating. You have cool, pale, clammy skin. You have a rapid, weak pulse and muscle cramps. That's heat exhaustion. And if you have heat exhaustion, you want to get to a cool, air-conditioned place. You want to drink water if you're conscious. Take a cool shower or use a cold compress. Heat stroke is a throbbing headache. You're not sweating at all.
Because you're dehydrated?
Something. You're red. You have red, hot, dry skin. You have a rapid, strong pulse, and you may lose consciousness. But see, those are two totally different things. Excessive sweating versus no sweating. Cool, pale, clammy skin versus red, hot, dry skin. Rapid, weak pulse versus a rapid, strong pulse. And if you have a heat stroke, you need to call 911.
So you've been, this is kind of like the ground level ozone thing, where you've been talking about that for months.
Yeah.
And you don't understand where it's coming from because you'd never heard of it before and you had to have it explained to you. You've been on this same thing with the exhaustion versus stroke thing. So now that you've discovered the difference between the two of them, are you happy? Are you satisfied?
I feel pretty good about it.
Okay.
Because we've all had that time where we know we got overheated, right? But do you think you've ever had heat stroke or heat exhaustion?
No.
Because it's not an actual
No. I've probably had heat
stroke.
exhaustion, but a stroke, if you think you're having that, I don't know if you mentioned this, you have to call 911.
Yes.
You may not get an answer if you're in the city, but you got to call 911 anyway.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I've stopped sweating before,
Yeah.
but I don't think it was heat stroke. Maybe I was just dehydrated.
You were probably just dehydrated.
Yeah.
If you do have the heat stroke, you're talking about a temperature, a body temperature of 103 or higher.
Really?
Yes. So you have to be very, very careful with that.
Yeah.
And I guess the easiest thing, and especially now, because we're talking about humid conditions, we're in that part where it's going to part of the year where it's going to start to get really bad. And it kind of has been for a couple of weeks with the heat, with the humidity, and making it feel oppressive. You have to continually hydrate.
Yeah.
This is a very dangerous time of the year, especially if you are older.
And it's important to recognize the signs because, and this is according to just like the report about heat stroke, heat exhaustion, when your body temperature gets really high, your brain kind of shuts down. It like freaks out. So you become unresponsive or very confused. So it's not like you can necessarily self-report that you've got heat stroke or heat exhaustion. I think especially for kids and older people. It's why it's so important to keep an eye on them. But yeah, I've gotten very, very hot before where I don't, like I said, I don't think I've had heat stroke, but I've gone on a run, done a long run when it's really hot, and then you get back and you're kind of down for the rest of the day. Your stomach's messed up, your head's messed up. You're thinking, maybe I wasn't the smartest.
You just, first things first, you just have to absolutely stay hydrated.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget to. It just slips their mind to drink a lot of water before they're going to be out.
There's this is not a commercial, but have you had, it's called Liquid IV.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's delicious. And it's like electrolytes.
It's a lot of sugar in it, right?
No, not this one.
Okay.
This one's a low sugar.
Okay.
I bought a giant bag of it. Guess where?
Costco.
That's right.
Okay. You love that Costco. Hey, a text message based on what we were talking about a couple of segments ago. Ketchup bottle itself says to refrigerate after opening. So the ketchup bottle is saying that.
No, I don't think it does.
2 texts came in a row and said you have to put it in the fridge
Our
after you
listeners
open.
need to stop lying.
I don't think they are.
I think they are.
Stop gaslighting, Amy.
Stop lying.
Hey, next hour, we're going to talk to a bourbon expert. Very interesting history of Kentucky bourbon. We'll get that from Mark Rucker in the next hour on KMOX.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Carol Daniels for Chesterfield Fence and Deck. I love a good home show. I like to go to see the latest projects and products and talk to designers and consultants. Going to Chesterfield Fence and Deck to their showroom, it's like going to a home show. 25,000 square feet of beautiful projects. You can check them out now or even after your consultation. You'll see samples of their quality products in person and you get to ask any question at all. If you're ready to enjoy your backyard like never before, go to Chesterfield Fence and Deck and see their showroom for yourself. You'll see examples of their fences, the wood, the vinyl, the aluminum, even chain link fences, their decks, their sunrooms, their patios, or their pergolas. You've always wanted a pergola. You can go see it at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. And when you call in the month of July and mention my name, Carol Daniel, 636-532-4054, by the way, you get 20% off your next outdoor project. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at ThrottleNet. So I'm so very proud to have represented the guys at ThrottleNet for all of these years. They are the IT geniuses. George and Mike are the owners. Fantastic guys. They can do all of your IT. They can do a portion of your IT. They have the best Apple support team. Their response time is under 2 minutes. Think about that, under 2 minutes. Something goes sideways with your IT, and they are solving your problem. And they're solving your problem within 2 minutes. Now, let's talk about cybersecurity. Most companies in St. Louis don't have cyber liability insurance. You get hit, you're on the hook, you're probably out of business. With ThrottleNet, if we represent you, we protect you. The first $500,000 that someone hits you for, which isn't going to happen, but if it does, we pay it. $500,000. That's what you're covered for with ThrottleNet. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS for all the information.
KMOX, KEZK, HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
An important message from SNL Coins Gold and Silver buyers. SNL Coins Gold and Silver buyers pays top dollar for your gold and silver coins, old currency, diamonds, gold-filled jewelry, scrap gold and silver. Get a quote with a call to SNL 544-3600, SNL Coins 544-3600, or visit SNL 9300 Gravois just east of Mackenzie, 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 Saturday. Before you sell, call SNL 544-3600.
Get your St. Louis City SC Visa credit card now at Together Credit Union. Together Credit Union is the only place to find the official City SC fan credit card, which has special perks. You'll also get exclusive access to monthly giveaways. Visit togethercu.org for details. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 12 noon, it's sunny and 90 degrees downtown at the Arch. The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Our top story this hour, more questions today about the weekend tragedy that left a St. Louis woman dead while people tried to get through to 911 for help.
This is Kevin Killeen. When that oak tree fell over in the thunderstorm, crushing the roof of 33-year-old Catherine Cohen's Kia, trapping her. Onlookers say they tried to call 911 in the city for more than a half an hour but couldn't get through, just got a recording. Now the city's interim director of public safety, Charles Coyle, says they are trying to determine who exactly was trying to call. They want those numbers so they can determine when they called and why they couldn't get through. They are saying, though, the system was slammed during the storm, more than 1,000 calls in a 2-hour time period, about 9 calls a minute.
Jobs may be the thing that keeps teens from engaging in deadly violence downtown.
Dr. Keisha Scarlett, the newly minted superintendent of St. Louis Public Schools, says she wants to keep teens out of trouble by putting them to work.
Having opportunities during the school year so that when they move into summer, they don't lose any momentum. So having career-connected learning opportunities like internships and jobs already lined up for them, it just increases the likelihood that they're outside with nothing to do.
As far as keeping their buildings safe from school shooters,
I visited districts all across the country, and I do believe that we have a strong safety team.
Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
Dr. Scarlett, originally from Seattle, took over for the retiring Dr. Kelvin Adams on July 1st. KMOX Sports, 3 new players have been added for tonight's 5:40 Cardinals game in Miami.
The Cardinals have announced several roster moves for tonight's game against the Marlins. Adam Wainwright officially placed on the 15-day injured list with a right shoulder strain. Andrew Kisner, the catcher, on the 10-day injured list with a right groin area injury after being struck by a foul ball yesterday in Miami. Ivan Herrera takes his spot as the Cardinals catcher, and 2 pitchers come up. They'll both be active as well tonight. Dakota Hudson and Zach Thompson. James Nail option to Memphis. Tom Ackerman, KMOX Sports.
Meta, the parent company behind Facebook and Instagram, will launch a Twitter rivaling app called Threads. The announcement comes days after Twitter boss Elon Musk attracted criticism by announcing a temporary cap on how many posts users can read on his social media site. Jasmine Enberg, principal analyst at Insider Intelligence, has more on the impact.
Clearly, there's still an appetite for text-based communication. I mean, the uproar among users for some of these changes that Musk had made to the platform means that they still want to communicate via text. So, it's really smart for Meta to actually try to start moving into this space.
The KMOX business desk, it seems as though questions about tipping are still a big issue these days.
A Texas woman's pizza delivery is going viral after the delivery person cursed her out over a $5 tip. She says the order was $20, and on the video you can see him ringing the doorbell. She answers, thanks him, and he turns around and says, it's a nice house for a $5 tip. The woman asked TikTok folk what she should have done, and Biddy noted that he got a 25% tip and should be pleased. One person commented, I guess he was expecting you to give him the house as a tip. Allison Keys, CBS News.
The Dow from Stifel down 121 points to 34,297.
This afternoon remaining hot with a heavy thunderstorm through the early evening. Storms can produce flooding, downpours, hail, and damaging wind gusts. High of 94. Sticky tonight, low of 72. Shower thunderstorm tomorrow, high of 85. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Matt Benz on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Sponsored by work at metrostl.com. See how you can make a living and a difference in your community. Plus, learn about Metro Transit's $5,000 signing bonus, competitive pay, and benefits. Work at metrostl.com. We've got a sunny sky. It's 91 Florissant, 91 St. Peter's, and 90 downtown at the Arch. It feels like 98. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
This report is brought to you by Metro Transit.
The Chris and Amy Show.
Sponsored by the Cardinals. Cardinal tickets for 2023 are on sale now and start at just $6. Info at cardinals.com. Time to rewind. It's the Chris and Amy Rewind Recap.
I don't know what you missed. It seems like if you are tuning in now, you missed quite a bit. We started off the show today discussing the new ruling by a judge out of Louisiana. There is a suit that had been filed by the states of Missouri and Louisiana, a joint filing here, accusing the administration, the current administration, of First Amendment violations, and a judge has ruled that that is exactly what happened. And the violations occurred over 3 different topics: COVID misinformation, the 2020 election, and Hunter Biden related stuff. So here's the outcome of it. That the government, and this is just a temporary injunction, a preliminary injunction. This could end up going all the way up to the Supreme Court. It's not quite there now. And there's a lot of distance between now and then. But what this basically says is, unless it is a matter of national security, cybersecurity, election security threats, or criminal activity, the government cannot talk to social media companies and try to dictate any sort of, speech that is what would be considered to be First Amendment speech.
Yeah, protected speech.
Yeah. So, again, I think
it's a big deal. I mean, it's a potentially very consequential decision when it comes to First Amendment battles.
The decision is a big decision. Yes. I guess where I differ with you on this is, what are you supposed to do when misinformation costs lives?
Well, that's the thing. When you have freedom, you also have a responsibility. In the same way that there's this constant tension between freedom and virtue. And the more freedom you have, the more responsibility you have as a citizen to be moral and to not be an idiot. Because you have a right to be immoral and to be an idiot. In the same way that you don't want everything that's immoral to be illegal. You don't want that. You don't want the government telling you what's moral and immoral. Obviously, there's murder. There's an issue like that. But when it comes to other things, the government needs to stay out of your business. When it comes to First Amendment, the whole reason we have it is because we know people are going to say things that we disagree with. And some of the things that they say that we'll disagree with are offensive, and some of them are idiotic. And what you don't want is the government stepping in saying, when it's not an issue of libel, when it's not an issue of imminent threat with a specific date and time for violence, you don't want the government stepping in and saying, what you're saying is so dumb that other people could believe it and it could really mess some things up, or it could cost people their lives. You can't have that. That is a First Amendment violation. And it's awful that some people lost their lives believing misinformation.
It's beyond awful, yeah.
But the thing is, you can't stop people from being idiots. If we tried to legislate idiocy out of this country, you would have a complete totalitarian state, and even then, idiots would prevail.
But I guess where I come from on this, and I bet a different judge might look at it similarly, that this is an issue of national security. That if people are dying because of misinformation, or you have all this 2020 stolen election nonsense out there that eventually leads to a riot in the Capitol building, that sort of thing, that is an issue of national security.
Yeah. And I think that's far too subjective, because it doesn't fall under the traditional parameters of national security like treason or espionage or foreign
But it is a
states.
form of national security.
I think you have to be careful, because you could say, in the same way that you could say, well, words are violence, or hate speech is violence, or using the wrong pronouns is violence. Well, using the wrong pronouns can be offensive, and hate speech is horrific, but it's not actual violence under a legal state standing.
That's quite a leap, Amy.
I would say someone pushing back against the vaccine, whether they pushed back in a reasonable manner or an unreasonable manner, is just as ridiculous calling that national security issue as I would saying offensive things is actual violence.
When the estimations are from people I trust and not political talk show hosts, when they say that we probably, in that sort of speech, led to hundreds of thousands of extra deaths, I'd say that is an issue of national security. And I bet that you could make that argument, or a judge would believe that argument.
Leads to hundreds of thousands of
the misinformation. People, I'm not going to take the vaccine because I hear there are microchips in it or whatever. That sort of...
Well, we know it wasn't hundreds of thousands because there were hundreds of thousands pre-vaccine, but not post-vaccine.
Yep, there were.
Hundreds of thousands before the vaccine, but not hundreds of thousands after 2021.
It could be the masking, the anti-masking. Masking
But
doesn't
again-
work. This is all under the same umbrella.
But I think that's so wrong for the government to say, no, you can't question masking, because there are experts at, whether it's the same hospital like Johns Hopkins or other hospitals, that have said, well, we're still looking at the efficacy of masking in different environments. And the
But the
same way
overwhelming-
that the Hunter Biden laptop story was pushed down as fake news, and then it turned out to be true. Do you know how dangerous that is for the
first of all,
government to censor that?
I know Hunter Biden was part of this, but I'm sticking with COVID misinformation.
But it was
here
all part
in
of
the
the
moment.
lawsuit, though.
Right.
That's
but
why we have to take it in.
Well, I'm talking about COVID right now, specifically in the excess deaths that occurred as a result of it. That if you might have a person or an organization or two that says, well, we're still looking into the efficacy of this stuff, but you have the overwhelming scientific community saying, yeah, they are effective and they are preventing deaths. What do? Do we listen to the 90% or do we listen to the 10?
Then don't listen to the 10, but you cannot have the government stepping in and preventing people from questioning the efficacy of vaccines or of masking or the safety of vaccines. Here's the thing. Did I get vaccinated? Absolutely. Do I have 100% trust in it? No. But you know what I trust? I trust the vaccine more than I trust COVID-19, which, by the way, we do have some reason to believe originated in the Wuhan Institute of Virology in a lab.
But it's not the prevailing
But
sentiment.
if there's some from legitimate sources, again, the government should not be stopping people from asking questions. When you say democracy dies in darkness, well, guess what causes darkness? The inability to ask questions and to have conversations. And while there may be bad faith actors asking questions with an agenda, I consider myself a pretty good faith actor. And you know what? I do have questions. And you know what? They didn't test the vaccine just on women to see how it affected their cycles. Does that matter to me? Absolutely. Did I still take the vaccine? Yes. But to shut down conversation and to mock those who ask questions, especially having the government shut down that conversation, is incredibly dangerous.
And again, I would argue that is a matter when the lives of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people are at stake. I would argue that is absolutely national security, because that's what is national security about? Keeping people safe, keeping the public safe. So I would make that argument. We talked to Mike Gassman, who is the president and CEO of Big Tomato, the world's largest, and he is the Big Tomato, the world's largest ketchup bottle. The festival's back in Collinsville on Saturday, so it goes from 11 to 5. So get out there and check it out.
By the way, you can't be Prince or Sir Ketchup, and I can't.
You and I have aged out.
Yeah, I can't be Princess Tomato.
You can't be Princess
we're too
Tomato.
old.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I'm very upset about that. Kevin Killeen we talked to as well. Kevin was covering a press conference today after the tragic death of a woman during the storms on Saturday. Tree fell on her car. Bystanders attempted to call 911 in the city. This happened in the Grove neighborhood. They could not get through for about a half hour, and she ended up dying as a result of that.
When you make a call to 911, where are the likely spots for a traffic jam? First, it goes to the police department, and then they have to send it either to the fire or the EMS, depending on what kind of call it is. There's a system in place where you're supposed to be able to press 1 for a ambulance, and one for an ambulance and 2 for the fire department. But it's not clear that people are really on board with that, and people are getting frustrated when they get the recording. Can you wait? And so they hang up and try to call back, but that just puts them farther back in line. It's like at Schnucks when you forget an item and you go to get it, you don't get back to where you were in the checkout line. You're at the back of the line again.
Yeah, so this is a problem with a lot of cities around the country. They're having difficulty with staffing and dispatch, and this happens to be a problem in St. Louis. It's got to be resolved one way or another. Have to figure it out. The city has to figure it out. The state needs to be a partner in this as well. Considering there was some line item vetoes that happened on Friday that would have helped provide funding toward some of the infrastructure that goes into 911. And you can't have stuff like this. And who knows if that woman would have survived, but she would have had a chance had 911, the emergency responders gotten to her.
It is absolutely unacceptable. Can you imagine if that were your mom or your sister or your wife who was trapped in a car under a giant tree that fell on her car for 30 minutes before the ambulance or the fire department showed up because you were on hold for 911 and then that person died? It was a preventable death is absolutely unacceptable. And I will say personally, I know the mayor, when she took office, said that fixing the 911 dispatcher problem was a priority. And it doesn't all rest on her shoulders. But man, if I were mayor, I would have showed up today and been like, hey, I'm going to be here. The buck stops here. We're going to take some questions. I'm going to tell you our plan and reassure you that even though I said 2 years ago that it was a priority and nothing has gotten better, that it's still a priority. Just something. But it does feel like there's finger pointing to the point that I don't even know who's in charge of fixing this. Who is it? Who fixes this?
I don't know, but somebody needs to step up.
Yes.
We've got enough problems in the city. We don't need that to be one. Also, Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji. Anything you missed, it's on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Download it for free, and you can go back and catch anything you've missed. We've got more coming up with you. We want to hear from you, too. 314-436-7900 to call or text. You can voicemail us at 314-944-1120 on KMOX.
Maybe you spent your 4th of July weekend at a neighbor's house, a friend's house, a family member's house, and they had a great outdoor space. They had the separation and privacy of a beautiful fence. Maybe they had a beautiful deck, 1 level, 2 levels. They're able to barbecue, host people, sit outside, hang out, play some music, and you thought, oh my gosh, I am really missing out with my home. Well, a deck can add value to your home, and it can totally change the entire vibe and entertainment space that you have. You can be the gathering place for family, friends, and neighbors. And at STL FenceWorks, they can make your backyard dreams a reality. They've been doing that in the St. Louis, St. Charles County, the Franklin County area for over 50 years. And your neighborhoods are their neighborhoods. They're family owned and operated, locally owned and operated, and they can help you. Also, never once have they wavered in their quality and customer first approach. When you work with STL FenceWorks, you know that your deck will be built, your fence will be built and installed by an experienced craftsman in a timely manner. That's right, no long waiting list. And they have a lifetime warranty that surpasses anything else offered in the industry. Visit them today at stlfenceworks.com.
Total Information AM on KMOX. Recently honored first place for a complete newscast by the Missouri Broadcasters Association.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Glickert with the St. Louis Weight Loss Secret, and I know the secret. My unique weight loss program makes it easy to lose weight, get healthy, and get your energy back naturally, safely, and effectively. If you'd love to lose unhealthy fat without counting points or calories, no exercising, no prepackaged meals, no HCG, no surgery, and no hypnosis,
call my office now at 314-207-8600.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and I really needed some help getting rid of those pandemic pounds, and St. Louis Weight Loss Secret has made it easy for me. I started losing weight right away and have lost 20 pounds in just 1 month eating real food, healthy food. I feel great. I'm going to keep going. Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month, a half pound to a pound per day. For your free private weight loss consultation, call 314-207-8600, 314-207-8600, or online at moweightloss.com.
Men, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? The medical providers at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. 98% of men see instant results on their first office visit. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Men are even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
But that's not all. For a limited time only, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now, and your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
KMOX, the 2023 Large Market Radio Station of the Year, recognized by the Missouri Broadcasters Association. KMOX, we were built for this.
Amy, now that you have cake in your mouth, why don't you explain what we're talking about here?
Well, we're talking about Meta, which revealed a new app to compete with Twitter, and Ranj is a real buzzkill.
Well, here, let me tell you why.
Okay, well, tell them what happened. Start at the beginning. Because you're a real drag, you know? I come in after a fun holiday weekend, and I think, oh, this is going to be a fun Wednesday with my best friend, Chris Ranji. And you know what?
No, here's what happened. We got an email, an office-wide email that said, hey, there are 2 giant cakes in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And we know Amy is a cake monster. She just, cake. She'll buy a cake at the store
I
and
always
eat
have
it in
a
her
full
car.
cake in my fridge, and I do now.
Yes. And so I shouldn't have said anything. This is my fault. Because I said, Amy, did you see the email? We have 2 giant cakes in the kitchen. And what did she do? We had 1 minute before we came back from the break, and she ran to the
2
kitchen.
minutes.
And then what Amy does is she will take a giant bite right before the segment's about to start. And anybody who's eaten food knows that when you put something in your mouth, it takes a while to chew it, swallow it, and then be able to talk.
Okay, first of all, we had 2 minutes.
It was a minute and a half.
And anyway, I got the cake.
You got the cake.
And I was having a good Wednesday, and hope you're all having a great Wednesday. Despite this wet blanket over here.
Oh, get serious.
That we call Chris Ranji.
All right. There is a new social media app that is going to happen, and it's being billed the Twitter killer.
And it's called Threads. Get it? Like a Twitter thread?
Yeah, I get it. So this is being introduced by Meta, which is Mark Zuckerberg's company. It is the company that owns Facebook and Instagram. They are teasing a new app that is supposed to take on Twitter. Now, I personally, look, the percentage of people who are on Twitter, it's not a plurality. You know, it's a very small percentage of people, relatively speaking, who are on Twitter, but there are still millions and millions of users around the country. Where Twitter has been important historically, even though it's a relatively small percentage of people who use it, it's been very important for driving conversation, good or bad.
The one way to put it is, even though Twitter is the least used of the major social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, it's the least used. It outpunches its weight class because of who uses it.
The most
journalists,
influential people.
yes, academics,
Politicians.
celebrities.
Yes.
The most influential people are on Twitter.
It's actually rare, if you are one of those people, to not be on Twitter. It is more likely you are on it if you're a politician, senator, president, whatever, celebrity of some kind. It's more likely you are. So when people are on it, they are actually driving conversation, because even if you are not personally using the app, that app is disseminating information that then leads to policy discussions. I'd say that's just one example of how it can be very important. You have every major organization in the country, and a lot of them around the world, who are on it. So if there is an emergency situation, it's very good for breaking news. The National Weather Service, for example, is tweeting constantly if something happens. It's just one manner of getting that word out there to people. So there is a lot of interest in there being a competition to Twitter based on the way things have gone down after Elon Musk took over several months ago. And I know there are people who are Elon fanboys who, whatever he does, they will slurp it up and they will say, yep, thank you, Lord Elon. You are so brilliant and you know everything you're doing and you're not acting on impulse ever, which he does all the time. But aside from those people, if you're a person who uses the app and you're a reasonable person, the app is not better. Twitter is not better since he took over. It's worse. It is markedly worse
Not only that,
since he became the owner of it.
this is something new. So someone I follow on Twitter, the tweet, it had like one line of words. And then the rest of the words were blurred out in the same way that you have to subscribe to a newspaper. And it said subscribe to unlock. And I've never seen this. I can't see this guy's tweet unless I subscribe to his
Which means you got to
Substack.
pay him. Yes.
I've got to pay him. I didn't even, of all the Twitter complaints, I actually hadn't heard this one yet. That if you started a newsletter or a Substack or whatever it is, you could lock your tweets and say, my tweets are visible only to people who subscribe to my newsletter. I haven't seen that yet. So you're not paying Elon, you're paying the Substack writer. But I don't like any of that. Again, I feel like every change that has happened to Twitter since Elon took over has been negative.
Well, yes, and hate speech, for example, has increased in a pretty dramatic way, even though he said he was going to do away with that. And little by little, he has implemented these new ideas like, for example, people who are not paying him the $8 a month to be Twitter subscribers. You are now limited to 600 posts per day, not writing 600 posts, reading them. And anybody who has scrolled through, so if you're in a business like Amy and I are, and you're constantly looking at Twitter to see if there's anything breaking, anything noteworthy that we need to be aware of, you can pretty quickly get to 600 posts viewed. That just means if you scroll past it, you scroll right past it, that counts as a post that you've read.
And also, again, it's crazy how in one fell swoop, Elon Musk was able to completely turn over, make topsy-turvy the blue checkmark system, where now if I see someone with a blue checkmark, I immediately discredit them.
I distrust
And
what
if
they're
they-
about to say.
Yeah, because all of the real reporters, the New York Times, me, you, we've all lost our check marks.
Yeah,
so
I
we're
don't
not
care
going
about
to pay $8 because it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah,
the
and-
check mark used to be hard to get. I had to go through a company to get it.
I know people who are thinking, what do I care? I'm not on Twitter. No, it doesn't matter to you specifically, but it does to the greater public because the people who use it and the information that's out there ends up being pretty public. And I think that's what is important about Twitter. I don't know if this Threads thing is going to be any good or work or catch on, but it will take a long time to beat what Twitter has given to people over the years. That's Amy Marks Kors. I'm Chris Ranji on KMOX.
I'm Tom Ackerman. Debbie Monterey and I start your day at 5 a.m. with the morning's headlines, traffic, weather, and sports.
I'm Megan Lynch. At 8 o'clock, we go beyond the soundbite. We give you context, perspective, big-name guests, and in-depth conversation.
It is our pleasure to bring in the mayor of the city of St. Louis, Tashara Jones.
The nation's debt ceiling. Let's talk about it with Margaret Brennan, moderator of CBS's Face the Nation.
Look who just walked into the studio. Hockey Hall of Famer Chris Pronger. Total Information AM, 5 to 10 here on KMOX.
Charlie Brennan here. Last year, Beth and I discovered water in the ceiling near the chimney in the front of our house. We immediately called Morelli Tuck Pointing, St. Louis's premier tuck pointer since 1991. The Morelli team then tuck pointed the front and the rear chimneys above the roof and spot tuck pointed below the roof. Morelli used a waterproof mortar that perfectly matched the existing mortar. Then the guys re-cemented the cap, sealed the flashing, and waterproofed the chimney. They then cleaned up so you could never tell any work was done. The Brennans no longer see any water in our front room, and I think if you live in a brick or stone home in need of repair, call the company that's received the Angie's List Super Service Award every year, back to back to back since 2005. Morelli. winner of the BBB Torch Award. Check out their reviews on the Google, Angie's List, and Better Business Bureau websites. MorelliTuckPointing.com, 314-645-1387.
Summer is here. Time to enjoy baseball, barbecues, and the shade of your trees. When it comes to tree care, call the certified arborist at Gamma Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma. Protect your valuable trees from storm damage or devastating insects such as the emerald ash borer. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. For pruning, spraying, fertilization, or removals, call Gamma Tree Experts today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Summer means hotter days. Avoid using heat-generating appliances like stoves and dishwashers during the day. Use them during off-peak hours in the evening to minimize the effects of heat and save on electric costs. Late evening and early morning is also the best time to water plants and lawns, as water is less prone to evaporation. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
At 12:30, it's partly cloudy and 91 degrees downtown at the Arch. Officials in Philadelphia are giving an update on the mass shooting there.
Over the last few years, you've been listening to officials give an update on the deadly mass shooting in Philadelphia Monday night.
We'll continue to monitor that and bring you the latest as it becomes available. Ukraine and Russia are accusing each other of planning to attack one of the world's largest nuclear power plants, but neither side provided evidence to support their claims of an imminent threat to the facility in southeastern Ukraine that is occupied by Russian troops. Ransomware gangs have been stealing confidential documents from schools and dumping them online. The documents describe student sexual assaults, psychiatric hospitalizations, abusive parents, even suicide attempts. Districts are ill-equipped to respond. An IRS scam.
The IRS has put out a warning about a new scam mailing that aims to mislead people into believing they're owed a refund. The mailing is delivered in a cardboard envelope from a delivery service and uses the IRS masthead. The scheme looks for your personal information. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Two-vehicle crash on 70 East at Jennings Station in the left lane. One vehicle crash on 367 North at Dunn. The right lane is closed. A stalled vehicle 70 West at Riverview in the center lane. And they have cleared a three-vehicle crash that was on 70 West before Lucas and Hunt. Again, that has been cleared. This afternoon's high 94 degrees with a heavy thunderstorm in spots. Tonight's low 72. For tomorrow, high 85. Sponsored by Mers Goodwill. Donate your vehicle today to Mers Goodwill and get 4 Fieldbox tickets to a 2023 Cardinals game. It's easy and towing is free. Donate online at mersgoodwill.org. Use promo code Cardinals. Give hope, give local, give goodwill. It's partly cloudy and 91 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Refresh, restore, and protect your investment. Call Zero Res to clean your business the right way so that your floors and surfaces stay cleaner longer without the harmful chemicals the other guys use. 314-474-2020. Make sure you ask for the DGS special or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Broadcasting from the Underline Tree Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Hi, this is Ben Coons, host of the Retirement and Income Radio Show. You know how excited I am when it comes to helping you protect your retirement savings? Well, this week, I'm just as excited about the baseball game on Saturday afternoon. You can hear my show at 7 a.m. Saturday morning. And as always, go to the Odyssey app to hear my podcast. You can also call me now for my free retirement and income book at 844-513-7233. Now let's bring home a winner.
Find out what's happening with your Redbirds from the manager himself, Oliver Marmol. Sunday mornings at 10:15 on Sports on a Sunday morning, and Wednesday mornings at 9:50. The Ollie Marmol Show on Cardinals Radio, KMOX.
It's Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji on KMOX. Amy and I love bourbon. We like whiskey.
Baby.
We're big whiskey fans. I would not consider myself a, are they called sommeliers?
No.
I'm not a whiskey expert. I just know if it tastes good or not. I can't pick out notes. I don't know any of that other stuff. But did read an interesting story last week about how the reality of Kentucky bourbon was almost no more going back to the late 60s. And to this, at this point, we could have been in an environment where there was no such thing as Kentucky bourbon. To tell us more about that, We go to the Quiver River Electric guest line. Mark Rucker is the CEO and creative director of thebourbonlife.net, a whiskey expert, and is joining us now on KMOX. How you doing, Mark?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
All right, so explain that to us. We were very close to there not actually being Kentucky bourbon. How did that happen?
Well, back in 1968, the industry, the marketplace for bourbon was dwindling substantially. There had been some cultural shifts with regard to the generation at that point in time that was getting into drinking. They didn't want to drink what their parents were drinking. They didn't want to drink the brown liquors. So they were headed more towards the lighter whiskeys, more towards vodkas, gins, things like that. So a lot of distillers were actually wanting to try to change the definition of what bourbon actually was or is to include the light whiskeys, because there were Scotch manufacturers, Irish whiskey manufacturers, Canadian whiskeys that were coming out, being produced that were really more of a light whiskey. So they had a lower proof. They were more like a neutral grain spirit with some coloring, maybe some flavoring to it. And I think bourbon producers back then, realizing that they were headed towards a slump, really were looking at the possibility of trying to change the definition of what bourbon is at that point, so they could incorporate light whiskey into their distillation program.
So right now, because all bourbons are whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are bourbons, obviously.
Right.
The definition of bourbon is?
Bourbon has to be at least 51% corn. So the mash bill, you'd have to have at least 51% corn in that grain bill. It also cannot be distilled at higher than 160 proof. So when it comes off of the still, it cannot be distilled higher than 160 proof. It cannot go into the barrel at more than 125 proof. And there are different distillers that fluctuate with where they go into the barrel at. But 125 is the maximum. It has to go into a new charred oak container. The regulations actually just say container, but it has to be new and it has to be charred oak. And of course, all the distilleries use barrels when they do that, but it has to be a new charred oak barrel, basically. And then there's other standard definitions, like for straight whiskey, has to be aged 2 years old to be called a Kentucky bourbon. It has to be aged in Kentucky, distilled and aged in Kentucky for at least 1 year. So those are the primary requirements. Oh, and it can't have any additives, no coloring, no flavorings, anything added to it other than water.
You know, when you were talking about how people did not want to, decades ago, they did not want to drink what their parents were drinking. They were moving toward more lighter alcohols instead of drinking that the whiskey, drinking the Scotch. Has that rebounded back the other direction? It seems to me that bourbon, American bourbon, Kentucky bourbon has had a real renaissance in the last 15, 20 years.
It really has. Since the early 2000s, we've come out of what people call them the dark ages of bourbon. There was really a period of time where the sales were down substantially. The industry was on life support, but due to the efforts of several key players in the bourbon industry, a lot of the master distillers themselves who are out on the road, who are actually touting the benefits of bourbon and how wonderful it is, they really worked hard. But then, these younger generations came back to it. We saw it in terms of, like entertainment shows like Mad Men that were out there, Don Draper's mixing up an old fashioned with rye whiskey.
Yeah.
We see this growth of cocktail culture where people are really starting to get into these cocktails, and they don't want gin or vodka. They want something with flavor. They want these older Negronis, the Manhattans, the Boulevardiers, things like that, the old fashions. So we see this increase in this cocktail culture and this whole new generation that really starts shifting back to these dark spirits, the bourbon and the rye especially. And we've just seen that continue to grow in popularity. It's just been really, really incredible. It's always cyclical. There's always going to be cycles in the industry, and we've seen that over time since Prohibition. But right now, the bourbon wave is incredible, and these distilleries are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on expansion and renovations to keep up with the demand, and they're looking 20 to 25 years down the road in doing this.
I think this is a shot in the dark here because I may have remembered this wrong, but I know Prohibition really altered the history of bourbon. I know you just referenced Prohibition, but there was something about a certification because of bourbon and the way it was being made right after Prohibition. Do you know what I'm talking about? Am I remembering this wrong about the history of bourbon immediately after Prohibition?
Well, it was in the late 1800s. There were some efforts led. There was a gentleman by the name of E.H. Taylor who was here in Kentucky. He actually worked for Buffalo Trace before it was Buffalo Trace, and he also founded his own distillery. But he worked hard to pass what was called the Bottled and Bond Act that really set standards for the production of bourbon. And then in 1906, there was the Pure Food and Drug Act, which also really set what the definition of bourbon was at that point in time. And that's where we really saw the difference between the distillers who were distilling bourbon and wanted bourbon to be a product that was actually distilled and aged in barrels versus what they called the rectifiers. And the rectifiers were people who were buying neutral grain spirits, which were spirits that were distilled at higher than 160 proof, so maybe 180, 190 proof. They were putting flavorings, they were putting colorings, they were putting a lot of other nasty stuff sometimes in those barrels as well. And then they were selling that as bourbon as well. And that's really where that whole light whiskey, came from at that point in time. But then after Prohibition, we see this push, this growth of bourbon. Then we had the war, of course, after that, and people coming back from the war, and we saw this huge growth of bourbon. But then, like you said, in the late 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s and 90s, we saw that downturn in the marketplace.
Okay, I did have it mixed up. I had heard about the Bottled and Bond Act of 1897. I don't know why I mixed it up with Prohibition. But briefly, what exactly did that do again?
Yeah. So what happened was, there were rectifiers out there who were taking these barrels that were produced by distillers, and then they were rebarreling them. They were mixing other products into it. I mean, sometimes they would put things like turpentine, tobacco spit. I mean, it was nasty. Some of the things. No, I'm serious.
Tobacco spit?
Yes, because it's brown and it gives color and there's some sweetness to it. I know that sounds gross, but yes, there's documented proof that was actually being done by some of these rectifiers. So they are rebottling this and putting it out as their own product. And of course, it was a question of safety. So the Bottled and Bond Act was actually one of the very first, kind of like a Food and Drug Administration, even though it didn't exist back then, but it was one of the first acts dedicated to purity of food and manufactured products like whiskey. So what it did was it set standards. So to be bottled and bond, it had to be 100 proof. So that means 50% alcohol by volume. So 100 proof. It had to be 4 years old, at least 4 years old, and it had to be stored or saved in a federally bonded warehouse. And there was a warehouseman, a federal agent, that would have a key, and he would have access to that warehouse, so he could check on the whiskey. So it really just set standards. It was one of the first acts approved by Congress that really set standards for the production of food goods, in this case, whiskey. And it really helped the distillers maintain purity of their products. So when you saw something that was labeled as bottled and bond, then you knew that it was 100 proof. It was distilled by one distillery, one master distiller in one season, 4 years old, at least 4 years old. And it was basically watched over by a federal agent while it was maturing. So it was a guarantee of safety and purity.
Okay, you need to walk me through something here, even though I'm already grossed out. So would it just be a group of dudes sitting around a barrel, chewing tobacco, spitting into it? Like, how does that?
I don't know how they processed it, but I can just imagine that.
I mean, you were wondering, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, sure. But, you think about bars, you think about back then, chewing tobacco really wasn't that strange of a thing. So I'm sure they had spittoons around. And these companies, these groups, they would run their own bars. So they would buy barrels of whiskey. So then they would have these products, these things that they could add to it. But turpentine was added sometimes.
Oh, come on.
Tobacco spit was one of the. No, I'm serious. It was. Yeah. So it was really rough. So these distillers that were producing this pure, wonderful Kentucky bourbon, and the majority of it back then was in Kentucky, as it is now still. They wanted to guarantee that when consumers were buying their product, that they were getting the real deal, and they weren't getting some nasty substitute that these rectifiers were doing.
This is why we have regulations.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why
Exactly
we have
right.
regulations, so we can't be putting spit into the freaking whiskey.
Okay. And this may be a question that people know. Everyone who drinks bourbon knows this, and I apologize if so. But I really enjoy Weller 12, but I've never had Pappy's. Why is Weller 12 always like compared to Pappy's, like they're almost the same thing. Or like I picture a guy sitting there in a chair taking a sip going, this is Pappy's, this is Weller 12, because they're always tied together. But I've never had Pappy's.
And is Pappy's overrated?
Well, and here's the thing. You're right, because Weller 12 is the same mash bill, exactly the same mash bill as Pappy. So it is the same product. It's now distilled by Buffalo Trace in Frankfurt. So there's an entire lineup. There's a 10-year-old in the Pappy lineup that's called Rip Van Winkle, or Old Rip Van Winkle. There's a 12-year-old that's called Lot B. Then there's the 15-year-old Pappy, the 20-year-old Pappy, and the 23-year-old Pappy. But it is a wheated mash bill. What that means is it's corn, wheat, and malted barley. But that same mash bill is used to make all the Weller products. So the Weller Special Reserve, which is the green label, the Weller Antique, which is the red label, the Weller 12, which is the black label. So it's all the same mash bill, and it's just a difference of which barrels get chosen to go on to become part of the Pappy lineup versus which barrels are left to become part of the Weller 12 lineup.
Okay, so I got a buddy here, owns a whiskey saloon in Central West End, and he will tell me, and I'm going to give the game away for him. Sorry, that if people come in and they want a good recommendation, I mean, he's got the Pappy's there, but he'll say, you don't want that. You don't want that. Just, I mean, if you want to pay the $50 or whatever it is per glass, you don't want that. Get this stuff. This stuff's really good. So I'll ask this again: is the Pappy's overrated? There is a secondary market out there, which is where people buy and sell bottles beyond retail, right? So the 15-year-old Pappy Van Winkles sell for $2,000 on that market sometimes. The 23-year-old Pappys will sell for as much as $4,500 a bottle. I will tell you that neither one of them is worth that much at all. It's great whiskey. I love the Pappy line. The 15-year-old Pappy Van Winkle is probably one of my favorite whiskeys, one of my favorite bourbons. It's about $189 for a bottle, which is quite a bit. But for a 15-year-old, we've seen a lot of price increases over the last few years. So honestly, $189 for a 15-year-old wheated bourbon is not really out of line. And to me, that's worth it. Yeah.
But going out to a bar and spending $50, $75, $100, if you're thinking about buying a bottle and you want to try it first, sure, do it, because spend $50, find out if you like it. Don't waste $2,000. But, it's so allocated that it's impossible to find, almost impossible to find in the retail stores. And you just can't walk in and get a Pappy like you could maybe 15 years ago. So, before someone spends an exorbitant amount of money, I would definitely say go to a bar, go to a restaurant, give it a try first. But no, in my opinion, it's not worth what the secondary prices are, not even close to.
In that same spirit it's much easier to get, but the Walker Blue, the blue label that people really like, is that a similar situation? I mean, it's not, the secondary market isn't nearly what it is for Pappy, but that is also a very $200 a bottle whiskey.
Yeah, and that's Scotch, so I don't really know what that is.
Come on, Raj.
Oh, he knows.
I don't. I really don't follow Scotch as much. It's funny. I have about 600 bottles of bourbon here in my home, and I own 2 bottles of Scotch. So that tells you where my interest primarily is.
I don't think I've ever met anybody like that.
No.
That has that many of just one of them and not all. That's super
because
interesting.
Scotch is like you took a great bottle of bourbon and melted a tire in it. That's what Scotch tastes like.
It.
No, it does. Okay. So here's a question.
It's that smoke.
Oh my gosh. I drank a Scotch. It was after the Blues, Pat Maroon's Game 7 overtime goal winner against the Dallas Stars. We celebrated with some Scotch, and it was so smoky. It was like drinking a campfire, and I could taste it for 2 days. But when it comes to bourbon, we went to a liquor store and they had a bottle of Weller Special Reserve and a bottle of Eagle Rare. I'm like, oh, we'll take those. And they said, oh, no, you got to put your name in a lottery. And if we pick your name, then you can buy it, or you have the opportunity to buy it, because I guess people were just buying too much of it. I'm not really sure. It's hard to get. But there are a lot of good bourbons that are reasonable. Like I love Angel's Envy or Four Roses small batch. What's the cheapest bourbon you've ever had that you thought this is actually really good? Like anything even cheaper than the ones you can find on, on the shelf, like the kind of the traditional, like Maker's Mark or something.
There's some actually pretty decent bourbons out there. Like Evan Williams makes some pretty low, I don't want to say low end, but inexpensive bourbons that you can find that are actually really good. Heaven Hill used to make a 6-year-old bottled in bond that was absolutely delicious and cost, I think, $13.99. They've since stopped making that, and they've re-released it as a 7-year product, and they've increased the price about 3 or 4 times what it was, unfortunately. But yeah, there's a brand, JTS Brown, which is kind of what people would call a bottom shelfer, but it's actually a really decent bourbon for the price, and it's very inexpensive, maybe $12 to $15. You can find it. Old Grandad 114, which is made by Beam. It's about $29 a bottle, and that's actually one of my favorite bourbons to drink. It's 114 proof, so it is higher in proof. It does have a higher rye mash bill, so it's corn with rye and malted barley, so it's a little bit spicier, and it has a higher proof. But it honestly, when I can find that, I'll buy it. I think I probably have 12 bottles of that just sitting here because rumor was that they were going to get rid of it a couple of years ago, so I stocked up a little bit. Fortunately, they did not. So, but yeah, there's a lot of good choices out there that are relatively inexpensive that you can find and really enjoy.
Listen, Mark, we appreciate the information, and we're waiting for 1 o'clock to roll around so we can. We're gonna crack open a bottle over here, probably.
Well, if you guys were here, I'd be happy to share with you. So.
Oh man.
Well, okay, we'll keep that in mind.
We took down a handle of Woodford Reserve, I think, in the past week, so we need a new bottle. Well, one of us did.
Okay. Mark, appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Mark Rucker is the CEO and creative director at thebourbonlife.net.
It's so interesting. Like all these little sub worlds, right? Whether you're getting into a sport or, wine, coffee, whatever it is, there's so much history packed into bourbon and alcohol in general, but bourbon especially. It's
American
really
history.
Interesting.
Yeah. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji on KMOX.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey for my friend and trusted realtor, Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, with some exciting updates for serious home sellers. Gloria Liu understands that every seller situation is different. For some sellers, a 24-hour cash offer solution is a great option to consider. Gloria's 24-hour cash offer solution is for sellers who want no risk, no open houses, don't want to make costly repairs, and want to pick their own closing date. If that sounds like you, call Gloria Liu for a no-obligation 24-hour cash offer. You will have exclusive access to her group of cash buyers who bid against each other in what Gloria calls her cash offer bid box, giving you the best cash offer. These are cash buyers in waiting willing to pay 100% or more of market value. Call Gloria Liu at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888. GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
KMOX and Michelob Ultra have teamed up to bring you the St. Louis City Caravan. It kicks off Monday, July 10th at Hot Shots Bar and Grill in Wentzville. Special guest City striker Zhao Klaus.
Klaus down the right side of the box, cuts it back toward the middle.
Enjoy Hot Shot Game Day drink specials, grab a player autograph, and enjoy plenty of St. Louis talk during a live broadcast of Sports Open Live. The City Caravan, Monday, July 10th, 6 to 8 at Hot Shots in Wentzville. City on Tap presented by Michelob Ultra and America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
We are Andro Law, your St. Louis legal powerhouse. Auto accidents, work injuries, pharmaceutical litigations, we do it all.
Andro Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Spark St. Louis is the newest collaborative co-working office space located in the PwC Pennant Building at Ballpark Village. Spark supports local entrepreneurs and corporate professionals and features over 80 private offices, day pass options, monthly networking events, conference room, and special event amenities, while offering an innovative approach to city life where you can live, work, and watch the Cardinals play all within the neighborhood at Ballpark Village. Schedule your tour today by visiting Spark St. Louis online at spark-stl.com.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new place. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Glickert with the St. Louis Weight Loss Secret, and I know the secret. My unique weight loss program makes it easy to lose weight, get healthy, and get your energy back naturally, safely, and effectively. If you'd love to lose unhealthy fat without counting points or calories, no exercising, no prepackaged meals, no HCG, no surgery, and no hypnosis,
call my office now at 314-207-8600.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and I really needed some help getting rid of those pandemic pounds, and St. Louis Weight Loss Secret has made it easy for me. I started losing weight right away and have lost 20 pounds in just 1 month eating real food, healthy food. I feel great. I'm going to keep going. Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month, a half pound to a pound per day. For your free private weight loss consultation, call 314-207-8600, 314-207-8600, or online at moweightloss.com.
Check mortgage rates without the hassle. Go to uswidefinancial.com and view rates in real time. See personalized rates, monthly payment, closing costs, and terms comparison. If you like the rates, apply right there. Visit uswidefinancial.com. NMLS number 192116, equal housing lender.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. For the best eye doctors, you need to see the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. YourEyeDoc.com, 314-966-5000.
St. Louis, this is your show.
The show.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
All right, we got to the bottom of this. We were having a discussion off air about regulations and that they are a good thing and that prevents whiskey makers from using tobacco spit in making whiskey, which was a
disgusting
thing, a real thing that used to happen. There are levels of toxins and stuff that are allowed. Like there is a certain amount, a trace amount of urine that's allowed in beer.
How is it
I don't
getting
know.
in the beer?
I don't know.
Like, you know what I mean? Why would you have to make that rule?
Because of people probably doing exactly what you think. So regulations are good. They are inherently good. Keep you from drinking that.
Ugh.
Hey, Dave Glover's show is coming up next on KMOX.
Hi, this is Ken. And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial